The system is starting. You have been chosen to hear this. It is not by accident. In a world filled with noise, where everyone is quick to speak, quick to judge, you are being invited into a space of sacred silence, or a place where there is no opinion, no pressure, no expectations. It is just you and the voice that truly needs to be heard. Today, I have not come to add noise to your life. I have come to remind you, it is in silence that your soul is healed, and your mission begins.
Have you ever found yourself constantly giving to people who only drain you? Have you repeatedly helped someone only to realize they were never truly changing? The truth is, not everyone is meant to be helped. The Bible provides clear warnings about certain types of people we should avoid helping, not out of a lack of love, but out of wisdom and obedience to God. There is a fine line between being a blessing and being an enabler. And if we are not careful, we may find ourselves being manipulated, used, and drained by those who have no true desire to change. Proverbs 4:7 says, "Wisdom is the principal thing, therefore get wisdom, and with all thy getting, get understanding." This means that our help must be guided by godly wisdom, not just emotions. In this message, we will delve into God's warnings about the 7 types of people you should never help. These warnings are not based on human opinions, but on powerful biblical principles that will transform the way you give, serve, and protect your peace. Many Christians struggle with guilt when it comes to saying no to people. We have been taught that helping others is always good, but what if I told you that helping the wrong people can actually go against God's will? Some people are not looking for true help. They seek someone to carry their burdens while they continue in their ways. They desire your effort, but reject your wisdom. Even Jesus set boundaries. He walked away from certain people, John 2:24, warned against casting pearls before swine, Matthew 7:6, and refused to be manipulated by those unwilling to change. If Jesus set boundaries, why do we struggle to do the same? Let's explore the 7 types of people you should never help according to the Bible. 1. The lazy and idle. Beloved, listen with spiritual ears and a discerning heart. There is a difference between helping those who are struggling and enabling those who refuse to move. The Bible is clear. Laziness is not a weakness. It is a choice, a habit, and ultimately a form of self-sabotage. Proverbs 10:04 declares, "Lazy hands make for poverty, but diligent hands bring wealth." If a person refuses to work, to apply themselves, and to take responsibility, then the poverty they experience is not an attack from the enemy, it is the result of their own neglect. The Apostle Paul was firm on this issue, writing to the Thessalonian church, "If anyone is not willing to work, let him not eat," 2 Thessalonians 3:10. This was not cruelty, but a principle of divine accountability. God has structured life so that we reap what we sow, and if someone sows nothing, they should expect to reap nothing. When we continuously rescue the lazy, we interfere with the divine system designed to bring correction. Some people confuse helping with enabling. Understand this, when you support a lazy person financially, you do not bless them, you cripple them. When you make excuses for them, cover for them, or bail them out, you rob them of the lesson that could provoke them to change. Jesus himself illustrated the cost of laziness in Matthew 25:24 through 30 through the parable of a servant who buried his talent instead of investing it. When the master returned, he did not reward the servant's fear or excuses. He called him wicked and lazy and took away what little he had. This is a biblical warning. Those who refuse to act will eventually lose even what they have. There is a distinction between those who cannot work and those who will not work. Proverbs 6:9 through 11 warns, "How long will you lie there, you sluggard? When will you get up from your sleep? A little slumber, a little folding of the hands to rest, and poverty will come on you like a thief, and scarcity like an armed man." Some of you are exhausted because you keep trying to help people who refuse to help themselves. You pour out your resources, your time and your energy, but the more you give, the less they do. That is not a godly burden. There is a time to help and a time to step back. If you keep feeding a man who refuses to plow his own field, you prevent him from ever learning to trust God. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is say, I will not carry what God never asked me to carry. You may wonder, how do I know if someone is lazy or just in a difficult season? Here are some signs. They always have an excuse for why they can't work, but have plenty of time for entertainment and distractions. They expect others to provide for them, but refuse to put in any effort. They have opportunities, but reject them. They consistently waste resources, money, time, or talents. They only seek help in a crisis, but never take action to prevent the next one. Setting boundaries is not unkind. When the rich young ruler walked away, Jesus did not chase after him, Mark 10:17-22. God allows people to feel the weight of their choices because sometimes pain is the only thing that provokes change. If you have been enabling laziness, it's time to stop. And if you have been lazy, it's time to repent. The good news is that God gives grace to those who humble themselves. Proverbs 13:04 says, a sluggard's appetite is never filled, but the desires of the diligent are fully satisfied. If you rise up, shake off complacency, and put your hands to work, God will bless the work of your hand. I challenge you today, who are you helping that God has told you to let go of? Pray for wisdom and discernment, because the truth is you can never save someone who is committed to staying stuck. 2, the ungrateful. There are people who will take your sacrifice, love, effort, and time, yet act as if they were entitled to it. Ungratefulness is not just a bad habit. It is a sign of a corrupted heart, and the Bible warns us about it. In Luke 17:18, Jesus heals 10 lepers, but only one returns to give thanks. Jesus doesn't ignore this. He asks, were not all 10 cleansed? Where are the other 9? This is a question we must ask ourselves. Where are the people who received but never returned? Where are those who were helped but never expressed gratitude? Gratitude is the mark of a humble and godly heart, while ungratefulness is the mark of entitlement and selfishness. In 2 Timothy 3:02, Paul warns that in the last days people will be lovers of themselves, lovers of money, ungrateful, unholy. Did you catch that? Ungratefulness is a sign of a godless generation. Helping an ungrateful person is like pouring water into a bottomless pit. No matter how much you give, it will never be enough. The more you sacrifice, the more they demand. Proverbs 17:13 warns, evil will never leave the house of one who repays good with evil. Some people don't just fail to say thank you, they turn around and mistreat the very ones who helped them. If you find yourself constantly trying to please ungrateful people, remember, God did not call you to be anyone's doormat. Stop giving your best to those who don't value it. Gratitude is a key to increase. When Jesus multiplied the fish and loaves, John 6:11, he gave thanks before distributing them. If gratitude opens the door to blessings, ungratefulness closes it. Don't let ungrateful people drain you dry. Protect your peace and obey God's wisdom. Doors close when ingratitude enters. Some people are not stuck because of the devil, they are stuck because of their own ungratefulness. They do not experience abundance because they never take the time to acknowledge the blessings they have already received. If you want to live in God's favor, cultivate a spirit of gratitude, and if you seek wisdom, stop helping the ungrateful. Let them learn to appreciate what they have before they lose it. Because here's the truth, whatever you refuse to appreciate, you will eventually lose. The proud and arrogant. The Bible does not just warn against pride, it condemns it. Pride is dangerous, destructive, and deceptive. Proverbs 16:18 makes it clear, pride goes before destruction, and a haughty spirit before a fall. Some people are so full of themselves that there is no room for God. They are consumed by their own wisdom, their own achievements, their own ways of doing things, leaving no space for correction or counsel. And do you know what happens to such a person? They fall every single time. The Word warns us, God opposes the proud but gives grace to the humble, James 4:6. Did you hear that? God Himself will resist you if you operate in arrogance. You're not just facing circumstances or people, you are standing in opposition to God. And let me tell you something, you cannot win that battle. Now I know what you're thinking, but aren't we supposed to help people? Yes, we help the hurting, lift the fallen, and strengthen the weak. But we do not waste our time trying to help those who refuse to acknowledge their need for help. Because pride is a closed door. When you try to correct a proud person, they reject wisdom. When you try to guide them, they ignore counsel. When you try to warn them, they dismiss advice. Proverbs 26:12 states, "Do you see a person wise in their own eyes? There is more hope for a fool than for them." Pride is self-sabotage. Some people are not suffering due to demonic attacks or external circumstances. They suffer because they refuse to listen, take correction, or humble themselves. And let me tell you something. If you keep trying to help a proud person, you will end up frustrated and exhausted. You cannot rescue someone who does not believe they need saving. To clarify, confidence and arrogance are not the same. Confidence comes from trusting in God, while arrogance comes from trusting in oneself. Confidence is humble, acknowledging that God is the source. Arrogance is self-centered, believing that success is solely the result of personal effort. The confident person says, "I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me." Philippians 4:13, the arrogant person says, "I did this. I built this. I achieved this." And when you start taking credit for what belongs to God, you set yourself up for a fall. There is no clearer picture of pride leading to destruction than King Nebuchadnezzar in Daniel 4:4. He had power, wealth, and influence, but he made one critical mistake. He took credit for what God had done. One day, he looked over his kingdom and declared, "Is not this the great Babylon I have built as the royal residence? By my mighty power and for the glory of my majesty?" Daniel 4:30. The moment those words left his mouth, judgment fell. God stripped him of his power, drove him from his palace, and made him live like an animal for 7 years, until he humbled himself and acknowledged that God alone reigns. Then there's Pharaoh in Exodus. Moses warned him 10 times to humble himself, listen, and let the Israelites go. But Pharaoh hardened his heart. He refused to listen, submit, or acknowledge God's authority. The result? His kingdom was devastated by plagues, his army drowned in the Red Sea, and his legacy was destroyed. Pride blinds people. It makes them ignore warnings, reject wise counsel, and fight battles they were never meant to fight. Some of you are frustrated right now because you keep trying to help people who refuse to receive help. You keep pouring out wisdom, but they reject it. You keep trying to lead them, but they resist. You keep warning them, but they refuse to listen. And let me tell you something. You cannot force wisdom upon a fool. Jesus himself said in Matthew 7:6, "Do not give dogs what is sacred. Do not throw your pearls to pigs. If you do, they may trample them under their feet and turn and tear you to pieces." Some people are so arrogant that they will take the wisdom you give them and trample on it. You cannot help someone who refuses to acknowledge they need help. You cannot correct someone who believes they are always right. And if you continue trying to force wisdom on such a person, all you will do is waste your time, drain your energy, and invite unnecessary stress into your life. Now, I am not saying to be harsh or rude, but I am saying that you must use discernment. If you see pride in someone, confront it with love. But if they refuse to listen, step back and let God deal with them. Some lessons can only be learned through hardship. Some people will never change until they have been humbled. Nebuchadnezzar did not change until he lost everything. Pharaoh did not break until his entire army was destroyed. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is allow someone to experience the consequences of their own arrogance. Because hear me, God knows how to humble the proud, the wicked and sinful. We live in a world where people say God loves everyone, and yes, that is true, but do not confuse God's love with God's approval. God does not bless wickedness. God does not support sin. God does not reward rebellion. As believers, we are called to walk in wisdom. Psalm 101 makes it clear, blessed is the one who does not walk in step with the wicked. Did you hear that? If you want to be blessed, you must separate yourself from wicked people. Now let me be clear, we are all sinners in need of grace. We all fall short, but there is a difference between a sinner who repents and a wicked person who refuses to change. There is a difference between someone who struggles with sin and someone who embraces, defends, and encourages others to sin. Proverbs 6:16 to 19 lists things the Lord hates. Among them a lying tongue, hands that shed innocent blood, a heart that devises wicked schemes, feet that run quickly to do evil. Some people do not just reject God, they mock His word, reject His wisdom, and promote what is evil. If you are trying to help a person committed to wickedness, you are wasting your time. If a person is committed to sin, your help will not change them. Your kindness will not break them. Your sacrifices will not soften them. And here's the real danger. When you help the wicked, you share in their guilt. Romans 1:32 warns, although they know God's righteous decree, they not only continue to do these very things, but also approve of those who practice them. Some people do not just live in darkness, they invite others to join them. If you support, enable, or assist them, you are partnering with something God has already condemned. Jezebel was wicked and her downfall was tragic, 2 Kings 9:30 and 37. Cain murdered his brother Abel and was cursed, Genesis 4:10 to 12. Judas betrayed Jesus and met destruction, Matthew 27:05. What do they have in common? They were warned, but they refused to repent. Some of you have wicked people in your life, family, co-workers, friends, and you wonder, how do I love them without enabling them? The answer, set boundaries. Speak the truth. Do not compromise. Love them enough to tell them the truth, but do not support their rebellion. Pray for them without participating in their sin. Love them without endorsing their actions. Intercede for them without letting them pull you into their mess. You are not God. It is not your job to save them. Your job is to stand for righteousness. Some people will never change until they experience the consequences of their sin. Today, foolishness is not a lack of intelligence, it is a refusal to embrace wisdom. There are people in this world who are not suffering due to a lack of opportunity. They are not struggling because no one has tried to help them. No, they are struggling because they refuse to listen. The Bible is filled with warnings about fools. Proverbs 13:20 gives us a strong word of caution. Walk with the wise and become wise, for a companion of fools suffers harm. If you keep company with foolish people, you will suffer harm, not because you are foolish, but because you are connected to them. Some of you keep trying to help people whom God has already warned you about. What is a fool? A fool is someone who hears wisdom but rejects it. A fool is someone who repeats the same mistakes over and over again. Proverbs 26:11 gives a graphic description. As a dog returns to its vomit, so fools repeat their folly. Now that is a strong image. A dog will eat something harmful, vomit it out, and then turn around and eat it again. And that is exactly what a fool does. They break free from bad decisions but run right back to them. They escape toxic situations but return to them. They receive wisdom but ignore it. Let me tell you something. You cannot save a fool. Some of you are frustrated because you keep pouring your wisdom, your love, your resources, and your time into people who are not ready to change. And no matter how much you advise them, correct them, or warn them, they keep running back to the same bad choices. A fool will drain you. A fool will exhaust you. A fool will pull you into their dysfunction. And here's what's worse. A fool will make you look like the crazy one because you're the one chasing after them trying to help while they are the ones rejecting it every time. Have you ever tried to reason with a fool? It's like arguing with a wall. Proverbs 23:9 warns us. Do not speak to fools, for they will scorn your prudent words. Some of you keep trying to make sense of people who do not want wisdom. And let me tell you something. A fool does not lack knowledge. A fool lacks humility. It's not that they don't know what's right, it's that they refuse to accept correction. Here's the hard truth. When you keep helping a fool, you become part of the cycle. You become the person they turn to when they need rescue, but they will never change. Fools are not teachable. They won't help, but they do not want corrections. They want relief, but they do not want transformation. And if you keep trying to save them, they will drain your energy, waste your resources, and then blame you when things go wrong. This is why the Bible says in Proverbs 14:7, stay away from a fool, for you will not find knowledge on their lips. Some of you need to take a step back and let life teach them what they refuse to learn from you. You cannot save a fool. Only God can humble them. Dishonest and manipulative people. My friends, there are some people you should never help because their intentions are not pure. These are people who do not come to you because they need help. They come because they see you as an opportunity. They come because they know you have a soft heart. They come because they know you will give without questioning. And let me tell you something, the Bible is very clear about dishonest and manipulative people. Proverbs 12:22 says, the Lord detests lying lips, but he delights in people who are trustworthy. God detests dishonest. Why? Because deception is not just a lie, it is a tool of the enemy. 2 Corinthians 11:14 warns us that Satan himself masquerades as an angel of light. In other words, deception is not always obvious. The most dangerous liars are the ones who know how to sound sincere. The most dangerous manipulators are the ones who know how to act like victims. A manipulative person will play with your emotions to get what they want. They will make you feel guilty. They will twist your kindness. They will use flattery and pretend to be something they are not. But let me warn you, do not be deceived. Proverbs 26:24-26 says, enemies disguise themselves with their lips, but in their hearts they harbor deceit. Though their speech is charming, do not believe them. There are people who will tell you everything you want to hear just to get what they want. And some of you have fallen into this trap. You keep helping people who have proven themselves to be dishonest. You keep giving to people who have never been truthful. And every time they get caught, they come with another excuse, another story, another manipulation. Let me tell you something. If someone has manipulated you to get your help, they do not deserve it. If they have twisted the truth, guilt-tripped you, or pressured you into giving, you need to step back and let them go. Now, let me say it again. I'm not saying we shouldn't help people. I'm saying we must use discernment. There is a difference between someone who is truly in need and someone who is playing a game. There is a difference between someone who struggles with sin and someone who is unrepentant. There is a difference between someone who falls and gets back up and someone who lays in their sin and refuses to move. The Bible is very clear about those who refuse to repent. Hebrews 10:26 says, if we deliberately keep on sinning after receiving the knowledge of the truth, no sacrifice for sins is left. This is a sobering word. It is one thing to fall into sin, but it is another thing entirely to deliberately continue in it after hearing the truth. If someone refuses to change, they will continue to misuse your help. You can pray for them, counsel them, pour out your wisdom, your love, and your resources. But if they are not ready to turn away from sin, everything you do will be wasted. There are people who do not want to be delivered. They want to be comforted in their sin. They don't want to be corrected, they want to be affirmed. They don't want transformation, they want sympathy. But hear me, you cannot set someone free who loves their chains. The Bible warns us in Proverbs 29:01, whoever remains stiff-necked after many rebukes will suddenly be destroyed without remedy. Some people will never change until they hit rock bottom. Some people will never repent until they are broken. Some people will never listen until they have lost everything. And if you keep trying to rescue them before they repent, you are interfering with the lesson that God is trying to teach them. What should you do instead? Pray for them. Ask God to soften their heart and lead them to repentance. Speak truth, but don't force it. Give them the word, but do not argue or chase after them. Set boundaries. Do not let their rebellion drain you emotionally, financially, or spiritually. Let God deal with them. Beloved, God calls us to be generous, but He also calls us to be wise. If you have been giving to the lazy, the proud, the ungrateful, the wicked, the foolish, the dishonest, and the unrepentant, it is time to rethink who you are pouring into. Because let me tell you something. There are people out there who need your help. There are people who will appreciate your kindness. There are people who will use what you give them wisely. There are people who will listen, learn, and grow. But if you keep giving all your energy to people who refuse to change, you will have nothing left for the ones who truly need it. Ask God for discernment. Are you helping the right people? Are you pouring into good ground, or are you wasting your efforts? When you give to the right people, you will see growth. When you sow into the right people, you will see fruit. When you help those who are truly ready to change, you will see transformation. Be wise, be discerning, and trust God to handle those who refuse to listen. 7 shocking facts about black people in the Bible they won't tell you. You have been lied to for centuries. The truth about black people in the Bible has been buried under misconceptions, half-truths, and outright lies. Many of us grew up with distorted images of biblical figures, European-looking depictions of Jesus, whitewashed prophets, and an erased African presence. But what if I told you that black people have been a vital part of God's plan from the very beginning? What if I told you that Africa and its people played some of the most important roles in the Bible, that some of the most powerful figures, leaders, prophets, and even kings had African roots? This is not about racial supremacy. This is about biblical truth. Too often history is told from the perspective of those in power, but the Word of God never lies. When we truly dive into Scripture, we uncover a history that has been overlooked, ignored, or deliberately misinterpreted. Are you ready to learn the truth? Let's break down 7 powerful facts about black people in the Bible. Facts that will challenge what you thought you knew, and most importantly, show you that God's plan has always included you. But before we begin, let me say this. This isn't about division, it's about revelation. The body of Christ is made up of every nation, tribe, and tongue. And knowing our history doesn't divide us, it unites us. So grab your Bible, open your heart, and let's dive into some biblical truth. Fact 1, the first humans were likely black. If you've ever seen a picture of Adam and Eve in a children's Bible or a painting in an old church, you probably saw 2 pale-skinned people standing in a garden. But does that actually align with the Bible? Let's go back to where it all started, Genesis 2:7. Then the Lord God formed a man from the dust of the ground and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life. And the man became a living being. Now think about it. What color is the dust of the ground? If you've ever walked through the lands of Africa or the Middle East, you'll notice something important. The soil is dark, rich, and full of life. God could have created Adam from anything, but he specifically chose the dust of the earth that was not pale but brown, reddish and dark in hue. Science backs this up too. Genetic studies trace the origins of modern humans to Africa. Even secular historians acknowledge that civilization began there. The deeper we dig, the more we find evidence that the first humans were deeply melanated people. And the Bible doesn't stop there. One of the first lands mentioned in Genesis 2 is Cush, which is the biblical name for Ethiopia. The rivers flowing from Eden are connected to lands that today are part of Africa and the Middle East. Why does this matter? Because for too long, many have been taught an image of biblical figures that doesn't match history or scripture. Knowing that the first humans were likely dark-skinned reminds us that all people, regardless of color, are made in God's image. This truth isn't about division, it's about breaking false narratives and embracing the reality that black people have been a part of God's plan since the very beginning. Fact 2, Africa played a central role in the Bible. If you ask most people where the Bible takes place, they'll say Israel. Maybe they'll mention Babylon or Rome. But Africa? That's a part of the story many people miss. Yet the Bible is filled with references to Africa. Let's start with Noah's sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, Genesis 10. These three men repopulated the earth after the flood, and Ham's descendants settled in Africa. His sons were Cush, Ethiopia, Mizraim, Egypt, Put, Libya, and Canaan. Do you see that? Cush, Mizraim, and Put, all African nations. And when we look at the major events in the Bible, Africa is always there. Abraham spent time in Egypt. Joseph, a Hebrew, became a ruler in Egypt and saved his family from famine. Moses was raised in Pharaoh's palace. The Israelites were delivered from slavery in Egypt. Even Jesus' family fled to Egypt to escape Herod. Africa wasn't just a side note, it was a key location where God moved in powerful ways, but somewhere along the way, this truth was buried. Many people started to associate biblical history only with Europe or the Middle East, completely forgetting that Africa was a foundation for many biblical stories. Why does this matter? Because understanding the presence of Africa in the Bible destroys the false idea that Christianity is a white man's religion. It's not. The gospel was in Africa long before it reached Europe. Africans were part of the biblical story from the beginning, and God has always been at work on the continent. History may try to erase it, but Scripture tells the truth. Africa has always been a part of God's plan. Fact 3, many prominent Bible figures were black. If you ask the average person to describe the people in the Bible, most would imagine pale-skinned individuals in flowing robes. But that image doesn't match the reality of Scripture. Some of the most powerful figures in the Bible were black or had African ancestry. Let's take a look at a few of them. Nimrod, the mighty hunter before the Lord, Genesis 10:8-12. One of the first great rulers in history, Nimrod established some of the earliest civilizations, including Babylon and Nineveh. What most people don't realize is that Nimrod was the grandson of Ham, whose descendants settled in Africa. That means Nimrod was of African descent. Moses' Ethiopian wife, Numbers 12:01. One of the clearest examples of race in the Bible is found here, where Moses' own family criticizes him for marrying an Ethiopian woman. In response, God rebukes Miriam and Aaron, striking Miriam with leprosy as a punishment. Numbers 12:10. This is a powerful moment. God himself stood against discrimination. The Queen of Sheba, 1 Kings 10:1, one of the most famous black women in the Bible, the Queen of Sheba traveled to meet King Solomon. She came from a wealthy African kingdom, most likely Ethiopia or Yemen, and was highly intelligent and wise. Simon of Cyrene, Mark 15:21, the man who carried Jesus' cross. Cyrene was in North Africa, modern-day Libya, which means Simon was a black man. On the most important day in history, when Jesus bore the sins of the world, a black man was given the honor of helping him carry the cross. The Ethiopian eunuch, Acts 8:26-40, an Ethiopian official reading the book of Isaiah was led to Christ by Philip the evangelist. He believed in Jesus, was baptized, and went back to Africa as one of the first recorded Christian converts. This means Christianity reached Africa before it ever reached Europe. Why does this matter? Because these are not minor figures. These are leaders, rulers, and people with deep spiritual significance. Their presence in the Bible reminds us that black people have always been part of God's story, long before slavery, colonization, or modern racial divisions. Discrimination. He made it clear that judging someone solely by their race or ethnicity is completely against his will. The Queen of Sheba, one of the most renowned black women in the Bible, is the Queen of Sheba, who traveled to meet King Solomon, 1 Kings 10:01-13. She came from a wealthy African kingdom, most likely Ethiopia or Yemen, and was highly intelligent and wise. When she met Solomon, she posed challenging questions and left deeply impressed by his wisdom. However, here is something many people do not know. Ethiopian tradition holds that she and Solomon had a son, Menelik I, who became the first emperor of Ethiopia. This means that Ethiopia's royal lineage is directly connected to the house of David. Simon of Cyrene, the man who carried Jesus' cross. As Jesus was on his way to be crucified, Roman soldiers forced a man named Simon of Cyrene to carry his cross. Mark 15:21. Cyrene was located in North Africa in present-day Libya, meaning Simon was a black man. Consider that. On the most significant day in history, when Jesus bore the sins of the world, a black man was given the honor of helping him carry the cross. The Ethiopian eunuch. In Acts 8:26-40, an Ethiopian official was riding in his chariot reading the book of Isaiah when Philip the evangelist, led by the Holy Spirit, explained the gospel to him. The Ethiopian believed in Jesus, was baptized on the spot, and returned to Africa as one of the first recorded Christian converts. This means Christianity reached Africa before it ever reached Europe. Why does this matter? Because these were not minor figures. They were leaders, rulers, and individuals with deep spiritual significance. Their presence in the Bible reminds us that black people have always been part of God's story, long before slavery, colonization, or modern racial divisions. Fact 4, the curse of Ham is a misinterpretation. One of the biggest falsehoods ever spread is the belief that black people were cursed in the Bible. This idea was used to justify slavery and oppression, but it is based on a complete misreading of Scripture. Let's examine what actually happened, what the Bible truly says. In Genesis 9:18-27, after the flood, Noah planted a vineyard, became drunk, and fell asleep naked in his tent. His son Ham saw him and told his brothers, while Shem and Japheth respectfully covered their father without looking. When Noah woke up, he was angry, but here is the crucial part. Cursed be Canaan, a servant of servants shall he be to his brothers. Genesis 9:25. Did you catch that? Noah did not curse Ham. He cursed Canaan, one of Ham's sons. Now let's break this down. Canaan's descendants did not settle in Africa. They lived in the Middle East, in modern-day Israel, Lebanon, and Syria. The curse was specific to Canaan, not all of Ham's descendants. From New River, this prophecy was fulfilled when Israel conquered the land of Canaan, not in the transatlantic slave trade. How this lie was used against black people. For centuries, slave traders and racist theologians twisted this story to claim that all black people were cursed to be slaves. This was a complete lie. Nowhere in the Bible does it say that black people were cursed or destined to be servants. In fact, the Bible consistently condemns oppression. Exodus 21:16 states, "Anyone who kidnaps another and either sells him or still has him when he is caught must be put to death." That is a direct condemnation of slavery. The idea that black people were meant for servitude is nothing but a man-made distortion of Scripture for power and control. The truth about God's justice. Throughout history, evil people have misused the Bible to justify their wickedness, but God's word is clear. Every person is made in his image. Acts 17:26 says, "From one man he made all the nations, that they should inhabit the whole earth." In God's eyes, there is no inferior race. The lie of the curse of Ham is just another example of how Scripture has been manipulated for human gain. So why does this matter? Because when we break free from false teachings, we reclaim the truth. Black people are not cursed. We are chosen, called, and created in the image of God, just like everyone else. Fact 5, the Bible prophesied the struggles of black people. One of the most powerful aspects of the Bible is that it not only records history, but also prophesies the future. Many believers have noticed that some biblical prophecies about suffering, captivity, and oppression seem to reflect the historical struggles of black people. Could it be that the Bible foresaw these hardships long before they happened? Let's examine the Scriptures. Deuteronomy 28, a prophecy of struggle. In Deuteronomy 28, God lays out two paths for the Israelites: blessings for obedience and curses for disobedience. One of the most striking passages is Deuteronomy 28:68. "And the Lord will bring you back in ships to Egypt, a journey I promise you should never make again. There you shall offer yourselves for sale to your enemies as male and female slaves, but no one will buy you." Being taken in ships sounds eerily similar to being sold into slavery. Black people have faced centuries of forced servitude. No buyer could signify that even after slavery, oppression and discrimination continued. Many scholars debate whether this passage directly refers to the transatlantic slave trade. However, one thing is clear: the struggles described in this chapter bear a striking resemblance to what black people have endured throughout history. Biblical warnings about oppression. God repeatedly warns his people against oppression and mistreatment. Psalm 100:3-6. "The Lord works righteousness and justice for all the oppressed." Proverbs 22:16. "Whoever oppresses the poor to increase his own wealth will only come to poverty." Isaiah 1:17. "Learn to do right, seek justice, defend the oppressed." No matter how much injustice black people have faced throughout history, the Bible makes it clear God is not blind to suffering. He sees, he hears, and he will bring justice in his perfect timing. From suffering to redemption, the struggles black people have endured, from slavery to segregation, from colonialism to racism, are painful and undeniable. However, the Bible also reminds us that redemption is possible. Suffering is not the final chapter in the story. In Exodus, God delivered the Israelites from Egypt. In the book of Judges, he repeatedly rescued his people from oppression. In the New Testament, Jesus came to set the captives free. God is a God of justice, and no oppression lasts forever. The struggles of black people have been seen by God, and his plan has always been one of deliverance, restoration, and healing. Fact 6, God's plan for all nations includes black people. One of the greatest lies ever told is that Christianity is a white man's religion. Nothing could be further from the truth. Black people have been part of God's plan from the very beginning, and the Bible clearly states that his kingdom is for all people Acts 17:26 declares, "From one blood he made all nations that they should inhabit the whole earth." This verse is powerful because it reminds us that no matter where we come from, we are all connected. There is no superior or inferior race, only God's creation. The role of black people in the early church. Many people are unaware that some of the earliest Christian churches were in Africa. Acts 13:01 mentions a man named Simeon called Niger, which means black. He was one of the prophets and teachers in the early church. The church in Alexandria, Egypt, was one of the most influential Christian centers in the world. Augustine of Hippo, one of the most renowned church fathers, was an African man whose writings shaped Christian theology for centuries. The idea that Christianity was introduced to black people through colonization is entirely false. The truth is, Africa was one of the first places to receive the gospel, and black people have been part of the faith since the very beginning. The diversity of heaven. One of the most beautiful images in the Bible is found in Revelation 7:9. "After this I looked, and there before me was a great multitude that no one could count, from every nation, tribe, people, and language, standing before the throne and before the Lamb." Why does this matter? Because it affirms that black people are not an afterthought in God's kingdom. We have always been a part of His divine plan. If you have ever felt that Christianity does not include you, or if you have been told that your faith is borrowed from someone else, know this: you are a part of God's divine design, and nothing can change that. Fact 7, black people have a divine heritage and purpose. If there is one thing to take away from this, let it be this: you are not a mistake. You are not forgotten. You are part of God's divine plan. Too often, black history is told only through the lens of struggle, slavery, oppression, and suffering. But the truth is, black people have always been part of something greater. From the very beginning, God has had a divine purpose for black people, and that purpose is still unfolding today. A rich spiritual heritage. We have already seen that Africa played a central role in the Bible and that many biblical figures were black. But what is even more powerful is how God used black people to shape the faith. Ethiopian Christians were among the first to follow Jesus. The African church produced some of the greatest Christian thinkers, like Augustine. Black believers throughout history have stood strong in their faith, even in the face of persecution. Christianity is not just a part of black history. Black history is part of Christianity. God's calling for black people to... History did not end with the Bible. God is still using black people to do incredible things for His kingdom. Black missionaries are spreading the gospel across the world. Black pastors and leaders are transforming communities. Black Christians are worshiping, praying, and standing firm in faith, just like the believers in Scripture. No matter what the world says, your heritage is one of strength, faith, and purpose. You are chosen. The world may try to define you by race, nationality, or history, but God defines you by His calling. 1 Peter 2:9 declares, "But you are a chosen generation, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, His own special people, that you may proclaim the praises of Him who called you out of darkness into His marvelous light." This means you are not forgotten, you are not cursed, you are not less than anyone else. You are chosen. Walk in your divine identity. For too long, the truth about black people in the Bible has been overlooked, but now the truth is clear. God's plan has always included you. This is not just about history, it is about identity. When you understand who you are in God's eyes, no lie, no oppression, and no false teaching can shake you. You are not an afterthought. You are not forgotten. You are chosen, called, and created for a purpose. God never makes mistakes. Everything He does is intentional. The struggles of the past do not define you. God does. He has placed greatness inside of you, and He is still writing your story. So now the question is, what will you do with this truth? Will you let the world tell you who you are, or will you stand firm in what God says about you? Will you stay silent, or will you share this truth with others? It is time to step into your divine identity. Walk boldly, speak truth, live with purpose, because God's plan for you is bigger than anything the world could ever imagine. Have you ever looked in the mirror and wondered why time seems to move more slowly for you than for others? Have people stopped you in awe, asking what your secret is? Let me tell you today, it is not just genetics, diet, or skin care. There is something spiritual at work. When God's hand rests upon your life, He preserves, renews, and strengthens you in ways the world cannot explain. Youthfulness is not merely about the body, it is about the spirit. Divine favor is one of the most powerful forces in a believer's life. It is not something earned through human effort, nor is it merely a matter of good fortune. Favor is a supernatural grace that flows directly from God, covering and sustaining His people beyond natural comprehension. When God's favor is upon you, even age and time must submit to His will. This is why some people appear untouched by life's wear and tear, radiating youthfulness, peace, and joy in ways that defy worldly explanation. From the beginning of time, God's favor has been evident in the lives of those He calls His own. Take Moses, for example. Despite leading Israel through years of hardship, the Bible declares in Deuteronomy 34:7 that Moses was 120 years old when he died, yet his eyes were not weak, nor was his strength gone. How is that possible? It was divine favor. God's hand preserved him so he could fulfill his assignment. Likewise, when divine favor rests upon you, it overrides natural limitations, keeping you strong, vibrant, and renewed. One of the greatest evidence of divine favor is how it affects the mind and heart. Stress, anxiety, and bitterness are among the leading causes of premature aging. The world is filled with people burdened by fear, regret, and worry, which visibly take a toll on their appearance. However, those who walk in divine favor carry an inner peace that reflects outwardly. Proverbs 3:1-2 reminds us, "My son, do not forget my teaching, but keep my commands in your heart, for they will prolong your life many years and bring you peace and prosperity." Divine favor also sets you apart from the world. In Daniel 1:15, we read how Daniel and his friends, after choosing to follow God's dietary instructions, looked healthier and more nourished than all the other young men in the kingdom. It was not just the food, it was God's favor at work. This favor grants an undeniable glow, an aura of youthfulness that confounds the enemy and causes others to take notice. The presence of God in a person's life manifests in ways that cannot be hidden. Furthermore, favor preserves your strength and endurance. The Bible often speaks of eagles, symbolizing renewed strength and vitality. Isaiah 40:31 declares, "But those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not be faint." Divine favor allows you to move through life without being worn down by its struggles. While others may feel drained and defeated by age, those walking in favor remain spiritually and physically rejuvenated. There is also a connection between obedience and favor. Those who walk in alignment with God's will receive the blessing of preservation. Proverbs 3:7-8 says, "Do not be wise in your own eyes. Fear the Lord and shun evil. This will bring health to your body and nourishment to your bones." When you choose to honor God in your daily life, He honors you in return, not just spiritually, but physically as well. A life free from the bondage of sin and compromise is a life full of His sustaining power. Another way divine favor works is by protecting you from premature aging and unnecessary burdens. Many people age quickly because they carry loads they were never meant to bear, worrying about the future, holding on to unforgiveness, or striving endlessly for worldly success. But Psalm 55:22 reminds us, cast your cares on the Lord, and he will sustain you. He will never let the righteous be shaken. When you allow God to take control, you release unnecessary stress and walk in a peace that preserves both your spirit and body. This favor is not just for a select few, it is available to all who seek God with a pure heart. The key is to remain in his presence, seeking him daily, walking in obedience, and trusting him with everything. Psalm 91 verse 16 says, with long life I will satisfy him and show him my salvation. Long life is not just about years, it is about a full, vibrant, and youthful life sustained by God's divine hand. Finally, divine favor is God's signature upon his chosen people. It is a mark of distinction, setting you apart from the world and allowing his light to shine through you. When people look at you and wonder why you are different, why you seem untouched by life's trials, you can boldly declare, it is not my strength, not my doing, but the hand of the Lord upon me. His favor preserves, protects, and renews, allowing you to walk in the fullness of his everlasting grace. Inner peace is one of the greatest gifts a person can possess. It is not merely the absence of conflict, but a deep and abiding calmness of the soul. This peace is supernatural. It does not come from wealth, status, or external comforts, but from a heart that is aligned with God. When a person is free from bitterness, anger, and worry, their entire being reflects a youthful glow that no worldly product can replicate. Bitterness and worry are among the greatest thieves of youthfulness. A heart burdened with resentment ages faster than one filled with love and joy. The Bible warns us in Hebrews 12:15, see to it that no one falls short of the grace of God, and that no bitter root grows up to cause trouble and defile many. Bitterness is a poison, not just spiritually, but physically. It drains energy, hardens the heart, and etches stress onto the face. People who carry unforgiveness often experience physical signs of aging, wrinkles from stress, tension in their muscles, and exhaustion from carrying emotional baggage. Science even confirms that chronic stress leads to premature aging, weakening the immune system, and damaging cells. But God has given us a way out: forgiveness and trust in him. When we release the weight of past hurts, we not only heal our souls, but also refresh our bodies. Jesus himself spoke of the power of forgiveness in Matthew 6:14. For if you forgive other people when they sin against you, your heavenly Father will also forgive you. Holding onto offenses traps a person in the past, preventing them from fully embracing the joy of the present. Those who live with open hearts and free spirits walk in youthfulness that radiates from within. Worry is another silent destroyer of peace. Many wake up each day burdened with anxiety about the future, what they will eat, how they will pay their bills, or what will happen next. But Jesus commanded us in Matthew 6:25, do not worry about your life, what you will eat or drink, or about your body, what you will wear. Is not life more than food, and the body more than clothes? Worry does nothing but drain energy and shorten life. People who trust God with their future walk in a supernatural peace, resting in his promises. Proverbs 17:22 tells us, a cheerful heart is good medicine, but a crushed spirit dries up the bones. When a person walks in joy and peace, their entire being reflects it. Their skin glows, their eyes shine, and their posture is relaxed. But when stress and worry take over, it drains the life out of them. This is why some people look older than their age. They carry the weight of unnecessary burdens. Those who radiate youthfulness often have one thing in common: they focus on gratitude instead of grievances. They do not waste time complaining about what went wrong or what they lack. Instead, they focus on what is good, what is beautiful, and what God has already done. Philippians 4:8 teaches us this secret: whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, think about such things. A grateful heart is a youthful heart. Another reason inner peace preserves youth is that stress releases toxins in the body. When a person is constantly anxious, their body produces harmful hormones like cortisol, which leads to inflammation, weight gain, and even disease. However, when a person is at peace, their body functions in harmony, their skin remains smooth, and their immune system stays strong. God's design for peace is also a design for health. The key to inner peace is trusting God in every situation. Isaiah 26:03 declares, "You will keep in perfect peace those whose minds are steadfast because they trust in you." The more a person trusts God, the less they fear, stress, or hold on to past hurts. This trust creates an environment of renewal where the body, mind, and spirit are continually refreshed. Furthermore, peace allows a person to enjoy life fully. Some people age quickly because they have forgotten how to appreciate simple joys, laughter, rest, and moments of stillness. The Bible reminds us in Ecclesiastes 3:12-13, "I know that there is nothing better for people than to be happy and to do good while they live, that each of them may eat and drink and find satisfaction in all their toil. This is the gift of God." Enjoying life is not a sin, it is a blessing. Another way inner peace keeps a person youthful is by protecting their relationships. Many people age prematurely because they are constantly in conflict, holding grudges, and engaging in unnecessary drama. But Romans 12:18 teaches, "If it is possible, as far as it depends on you, live at peace with everyone." A peaceful heart builds strong, lasting relationships that bring joy and emotional stability. When a person lets go of unnecessary battles and chooses peace, they no longer waste energy on meaningless conflicts. Instead, they focus on what truly matters: loving God, loving others, and walking in righteousness. This kind of life preserves strength and keeps a person glowing with the radiance of heaven. Finally, inner peace is a sign of God's presence in a person's life. Psalm 29:11 says, "The Lord gives strength to his people. The Lord blesses his people with peace." True peace is not just a feeling, it is a supernatural strength that sustains, protects, and renews. Those who dwell in God's presence walk in a peace that surpasses all understanding, Philippians 4:7. And this peace manifests in their very appearance and presence. If you want to look younger, stronger, and more vibrant, the secret is not expensive creams or beauty treatments. It is a heart free from bitterness and worry. When you choose forgiveness over resentment, trust over anxiety, and gratitude over complaining, you will begin to see a transformation, not just in your soul, but in your body as well. This is the power of inner peace. Spiritual renewal is more than just a feeling. It is a transformation that touches every part of your being. When you walk closely with God, your soul is constantly refreshed. This renewal does not stay hidden in your heart. It manifests outwardly. Those who dwell in the presence of God often look brighter, more radiant, and full of life no matter their age. The world teaches that youthfulness is preserved through expensive treatments, diets, and skincare routines. But the Bible reveals a greater secret. A heart renewed daily by the Lord reflects youthfulness in ways no worldly method can match. 2 Corinthians 4:16 says, "Though outwardly we are wasting away, yet inwardly we are being renewed day by day." The real source of renewal is not physical, but spiritual. When a person spends time in God's presence, their entire being is refreshed. Think of Moses. When he came down from Mount Sinai after being with God, his face shone so brightly that people were afraid to look at him. Exodus 34:29-30. This shows us that intimacy with God leaves a visible mark on a person's appearance. Spiritual renewal happens when we stay connected to the source of life. John 15:04 tells us, "Remain in me as I also remain in you. No branch can bear fruit by itself, it must remain in the vine." When we disconnect from God, we become withered, tired, and spiritually dry. But when we stay rooted in Him, we flourish, bearing fruit that is visible for all to see. Many people carry the weight of stress, anxiety, and sin, which shows on their faces. A person who is constantly worried or bitter often develops lines of tension and exhaustion. But someone full of peace, faith, and joy in the Lord carries a lightness that radiates. Psalm 34:5 says, "Those who look to him are radiant. Their faces are never covered with shame." This is not just poetry, it is a spiritual truth that even affects the physical body. Spiritual renewal is linked to rest in God. Many people are weary, not just physically, but in their souls. They chase after success, material things, and worldly approval, yet still feel empty. Matthew 11:28 offers the solution. "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." When a person enters into God's rest, they stop striving and start flowing with the peace of his presence. Walking with God also removes the burdens of guilt and shame. Many people age faster because they carry regrets from the past. But God offers forgiveness and a fresh start. Isaiah 43, verse 18. 19 declares, "Forget the former things, do not dwell on the past. See, I am doing a new thing." When you embrace God's renewal, you no longer walk with a heavy heart, and it shows in the lightness of your spirit and body. The Bible tells us that joy is a key to renewal. Nehemiah 8:10 says, "The joy of the Lord is your strength." A joyful heart has a powerful effect on a person's appearance. Think of a child full of joy, free from stress, and always glowing. That same childlike joy keeps people looking young and full of energy, even in old age. Spiritual renewal is also connected to a life of worship. Worship is not just singing, it is a lifestyle of adoration and surrender to God. Isaiah 40:31 says, "But those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. They will walk and not be faint." Worship renews strength and fills a person with supernatural vitality. There is something captivating about how our inner world shapes the way others perceive us. When people notice someone looking younger than their years, they often attribute it to good genetics or skin care. But beneath the surface lies something much deeper, a spiritual element that often goes unnoticed. The essence of youth is not merely found in physical attributes, but in the energy we carry within. This energy stems from a connection to the timeless part of ourselves, the part that exists beyond the ticking clock, untouched by age. Consider this: our inner self does not age. It exists beyond time, unchanging and eternal. When we align with this truth, it manifests outwardly. You've met people like this before, those who seem ageless, not because their faces are without lines, but because something vibrant and alive radiates from within them. It's as if they've discovered a truth that allows them to transcend the marks that time would otherwise leave. This phenomenon is not accidental. It is cultivated, whether consciously or unconsciously, through the way we live and think. When we embrace the present moment, when we are fully engaged with life, we tap into a wellspring of timelessness. Stress, worry, and regret do more than weigh us down emotionally. They age us physically. These burdens pull us away from the present, tethering us to either the past, which no longer exists, or the future, which has yet to arrive. They create tension in our bodies and cloud our minds, etching their presence onto our faces. However, when we let go of yesterday's burdens and stop fearing tomorrow, our entire being relaxes. This relaxation forms the foundation of a youthful presence. Those who exude youthfulness often share a common trait. They are deeply connected to themselves. This does not mean they have all the answers or that their lives are free from challenges. Rather, it means they have cultivated an awareness of who they are beyond their roles, achievements, or age. They understand that their essence is not defined by the number of years they have lived. And once you begin to see yourself in this way, it changes how others see you as well. This is where practices like mindfulness, gratitude, and self-reflection become invaluable. These are not just spiritual buzzwords, they are tools that reconnect us with the part of ourselves that is timeless. Mindfulness keeps us rooted in the present, allowing us to draw from an energy that does not age. Gratitude shifts our focus from what we lack to what we have, aligning us with abundance, which in turn radiates outward. Some might call this energy, life force. Others may see it as the light of the soul. Regardless of what you call it, its impact is undeniable. The more you nurture it, the more evident it becomes in the way you carry yourself, the way you speak, and even the way you look. This is not about striving to appear youthful as a goal in itself. The real objective is to live in harmony with your inner self, to honor the part of you that is unchanging and eternal. A youthful appearance is merely a byproduct of that alignment. So, if you have ever wondered why people say you look younger than your years, consider this. It may have less to do with skin care and more to do with the state of your spirit. When you nurture the timeless part of yourself, it shows. And that is something that cannot be bottled or bought. It must be lived. The way we experience life often determines how life reflects back at us. One of the most profound influences on how others perceive us is the emotional state we carry within. The energy of youthfulness is not just about physical vitality, it is rooted in emotional freedom. Emotions shape not only our inner world, but also how we engage with the outer world. Unresolved pain, resentment, or fear weighs us down, becoming visible in our posture, our expressions, and even our very presence. But here's the beautiful truth. When you release those emotions, you create space for joy, for curiosity, for the lightness that comes with living fully in the moment. That lightness is magnetic. It is the kind of energy that makes people say, there's something different about you, or you seem younger than before. This does not mean ignoring emotions or suppressing them. Quite the opposite. It means allowing yourself to feel them, process them, and then let them go. Emotional repression creates tension. Imagine clenching your fist for hours. It becomes tight, restricted, and painful. Now imagine holding that tension in your body for years. The exhaustion it brings is profound, and it manifests physically over time. Allowing emotions to move through you rather than settle within you is key. Anger, sadness, and fear all have their place. They are natural responses to life's challenges. However, when we hold on to them, they harden, becoming part of the story we carry. Not just in our minds, but in our faces, our bodies, our very being. The goal is not to avoid emotional pain, but to embrace it, understanding that it is transient. Like a storm, emotions are meant to pass. Once they do, they leave behind a kind of clarity, a calmness that feels like sunlight after rain. This is where emotional youth resides. It allows you to approach life with wonder and openness, qualities often associated with the young. Science supports this idea. Chronic stress and negative emotions accelerate physical aging by shortening telomeres, the protective caps on our DNA. But practices like mindfulness and emotional regulation help preserve them, effectively slowing the aging process. Ancient traditions have long taught that emotional balance is a cornerstone of vitality. It is not always easy to let go, especially when emotions are tied to deep wounds or long-held fears. But it begins with a choice, the choice to no longer define yourself by past pain, to no longer allow those experiences to dictate how you live. Forgiveness is one of the most powerful ways to reclaim emotional freedom. It is not about excusing those who have wronged you. It is about freeing yourself from the burden of carrying that pain. When you free yourself emotionally, your entire being responds. Your body feels lighter, your mind clearer, and your spirit more expansive. This is the kind of youthfulness that no cream or serum can replicate, because it comes from within. It is reflected in the light in your eyes, the ease of your smile, the energy you bring into a room. If you have ever wondered why some people seem ageless, consider this. Perhaps it is not just their genetics or lifestyles. Perhaps it is the emotional freedom they have cultivated, a freedom that allows them to meet life with curiosity and resilience rather than fear and resistance. Because at its core, true youth is not found in resisting time. It is found in releasing the burdens that time tries to place upon us. There is something profoundly transformative about being present in the moment. When you immerse yourself fully in the now, you shed layers of unnecessary tension, worry, and pretense. Layers that do not just weigh on your mind, but also manifest in your body. It is as if the weight of time, the burdens of past regrets and future anxieties presses into us, leaving its mark. But when you step fully into the present, that weight begins to lift. Consider how often we carry the past with us. Every mistake, heartbreak, and failure playing on repeat in our minds. At the same time, we project our fears and hopes onto a future that has yet to arrive. This constant pendulum swing between what was and what might be robs us of the vitality that exists only in what is. And here lies the great irony. Youthfulness is not about the years we have lived, but about the aliveness we bring to each moment. Look at children. They are masters of presence. They laugh without reservation, cry without shame, and marvel at the simplest things. They are not burdened by the need to control the uncontrollable, and this is why their energy feels so light, so magnetic. Yet, as we grow older, we are conditioned to prioritize productivity over presence. We chase the next thing, the next achievement, the next solution, forgetting that life is happening now. True youthfulness is not about resisting aging. It is about embracing life fully in the moment. Unfolding in this very moment, life is happening right now. While the physical effects of aging may be inevitable, the mental and emotional strain we place on ourselves by dwelling outside the present is entirely optional. The practice of presence, of being fully here, is not about ignoring life's challenges. It is not about denying pain, loss, or uncertainty. Rather, it is about layering it with resistance or unnecessary interpretation. When you truly live in the present, you begin to realize that most suffering does not stem from what is happening, but rather from resisting what is happening. Imagine holding a glass of water. At first, it feels light, almost weightless, but hold it long enough and it starts to feel heavy. The glass itself has not changed, yet your arm has grown weary from holding on. This is precisely what happens when we cling to thoughts about the past or fears of the future. The longer we carry them, the heavier they become. Presence is the act of setting the glass down. The beauty of presence is that it is always available to you. It requires no years of training or perfect conditions. It is as simple as taking a breath, feeling the air fill your lungs, noticing the sensation of your feet on the ground, hearing the wind or feeling the warmth of the sun on your skin. These small acts of awareness anchor you to the now, the only place where life truly unfolds. When you embrace the present, something extraordinary happens. Your body relaxes, your mind clears, and your energy shifts. You stop overanalyzing every move, and as a result, you move with greater ease. The tension in your face softens, the tightness in your shoulders eases, and your posture becomes more open. You begin to carry yourself differently, not with the weight of someone burdened by life, but with the lightness of someone fully engaged in it. This lightness, this openness, is something others notice. They may not be able to articulate it, but they feel it. They see it in the way your eyes sparkle when they are not clouded by worry, in the way your smile radiates from your heart, and in the effortless way you navigate your day. It is not that life suddenly becomes easier, it is that you stop resisting it. The present moment is where all your power resides. It is where healing begins, where joy is felt, where love is experienced. When you live from this place of presence, you exude a kind of timeless energy. It is not about striving to appear younger or more vibrant. It is about shedding the burdens that make people feel older than they are. You have tapped into the eternal flow of life, and it shows. So, if you want to unlock the secret to an ageless presence, do not chase youth, chase presence. It is not found in a bottle or a routine, but in the way you engage with the world in this very moment. Right now, you have everything you need to embody this energy. It only requires a willingness to let go of what is behind you, release what lies ahead, and step fully into the gift of now. Because the truth is, the only moment that truly matters is this one. And when you live in it, you do not just appear younger, you feel it. Have you ever noticed how deeply emotions affect the way we carry ourselves? Not just in obvious ways, like how a heavy heart slumps the shoulders, but in the subtler ways that reflect our inner state. When you are at peace, when you feel joy or gratitude, it is as if something within you radiates outward, touching everything around you. This is not just poetic sentiment. It is the reality of energy and presence. This inner vibration does not just shape how you feel, it shapes how others perceive you. The emotions we hold on to do not remain trapped inside. They ripple outward, shaping our expressions, our movements, and even the way we age. Consider someone who has been consumed by anger or resentment for years. You do not need to hear them speak to sense it. It is in their clenched jaw, their furrowed brow, their tense and rigid energy. As the saying goes, the body keeps the score. But here is the good news. The opposite is also true. When you cultivate emotions like love, compassion, and gratitude, they do not just make you feel good, they transform you physically. They soften you, not as a sign of weakness, but in a way that allows your true essence to shine through. These emotions unlock a kind of timeless beauty, one that is not bound to the surface, but radiates from within. Gratitude in particular possesses a transformative power that is often underestimated. When you are truly grateful, your entire perspective shifts. Gratitude pulls your focus away from lack, from what is broken or incomplete, and aligns you with what is already abundant in your life. It changes the way you see the world, and in doing so, it changes the way the world sees you. Gratitude is not about ignoring pain or pretending everything is perfect. It is not about dismissing challenges or denying that loss can hurt. Rather, it is about finding even the smallest light in the darkest moments. It is a realization that even in struggle, there is something to learn, something to grow from, and yes, something to be thankful for. When you embrace gratitude, your energy shifts from one of scarcity to one of abundance. And this shift is not merely theoretical, it is physical. Studies have shown that positive emotions like gratitude can reduce stress, improve heart health, and even slow the aging process. But you do not need studies to prove it to you. You have felt it yourself. In those moments of pure joy, when the weight of the world lifts, leaving you feeling lighter, freer, more alive. Compassion works in much the same way. To truly care for another, to feel their pain and their joy as your own, requires openness. It requires letting go of judgment and dissolving the walls you have built around yourself. And in doing so, you create space, not just for them, but for yourself. Compassion is not just about how you treat others, it is about how you treat yourself. When you show yourself compassion, when you embrace your flaws and release the burden of perfection, you stop trying to prove yourself to a world that never asked for it in the first place. And in letting go of that burden, you stand taller, breathe easier, and radiate something no external beauty treatment could ever replicate: authenticity. And then there is love, the most transformative force of all. Not just romantic love or the love we reserve for a select few, but a love that expands outward, touching everything and everyone. a love that is unconditional, that asks for nothing in return. When you move through the world with this kind of love, you become magnetic. People are drawn to you, not because of what you have or how you look, but because of the energy you exude. This is not magic, nor is it reserved for a select few. It is the natural state of anyone who chooses to let go of fear, anger, and resentment, and instead embraces the higher vibrations of love, gratitude, and compassion. It is not about denying the hardships of life. It is about choosing how you respond to them. When you live in alignment with these emotions, you stop aging in the way most people think of aging. You stop carrying the lines of stress and worry. Instead, you carry the lines of someone who has lived fully, who has loved deeply, and who has found peace within themselves. These are the lines that tell a story, not of years lost, but of life gained. So if you seek that ageless energy, do not look for it outside yourself. Do not search for it in mirrors or in the validation of others. Look inward. Cultivate emotions that elevate you. Let gratitude fill your heart, let compassion soften your edges, and let love guide your steps. The beauty you are searching for is already within you. And when you live from this place of deep emotional alignment, you do not just appear younger, you feel it. You embody it. That feeling, that energy, is the most timeless force of all. Let's explore how presence itself carries a transformative power, not presence in the sense of merely occupying space, but presence as a state of deep awareness. It is that unwavering, grounded quality of truly existing in the moment. When you cultivate this kind of presence, it transforms not only how you feel, but also how you appear to others and even to yourself. When you are fully present, you are no longer burdened by the weight of the past or the anxieties of the future. Consider the energy of someone constantly reliving old regrets or chasing distant worries. It's heavy, clouded, and evident in their face, their movements, their entire being. Presence, by contrast, is light and unburdened, allowing you to remain free even in the midst of chaos. This state of presence has a profound effect on both body and mind. When you stop replaying old narratives or anticipating worst-case scenarios, your whole system relaxes. Your breath deepens, your shoulders ease, even your face softens. This is not just an internal shift, it is something others can sense. People are naturally drawn to those who carry this kind of grounded energy because it feels safe, calming, and above all, real. Presence cannot be faked. It is not about wearing a serene expression or pretending to be unaffected by life's challenges. Rather, it is about being so fully immersed in the present moment that you cease resisting life as it is. And when you stop resisting, something extraordinary happens. You stop aging in the way most people think of aging. Much of the wear and tear we experience is not due to the passage of time, but to the resistance we hold against what has happened or what may come next. Constantly fighting reality, wishing it were different, pushing it away, or pulling it closer, creates tension that manifests in posture, health, and even the way the skin carries itself. Presence dissolves that tension. When you are truly present, you are not pulling against life. You are not trying to control, predict, or change it. You are simply in it. This allows your energy to flow freely, creating a sense of aliveness that does not stem from external achievements or validation, but from being in perfect sync with the moment. Think of a child at play. They are not worried about their appearance or the next task on their list. They are simply immersed in the now. That kind of presence radiates a vitality that is impossible to ignore. As we grow older, we often lose touch with this presence. We become entangled in plans, expectations, and responsibilities, forgetting what it means to simply be. Yet this presence, this vitality, never truly leaves us. It waits for us to return to it. Presence also aligns you with your true self. When you are present, you are not performing, not shaping yourself into what others want or what you think you should be. You are simply being. In this state, you shine in a way that no amount of effort can replicate. Those who embody this presence become magnetic, not because they seek attention, but because authenticity is inherently compelling. People sense the peace, the ease, the effortless way in which they move through life, and they are drawn to it. It is important to clarify that cultivating presence does not make life free of challenges. You will still experience pain, loss, and frustration. However, presence changes the way you meet these moments. Instead of running from or clinging to them, you allow them to pass through you without leaving a lasting mark. This is the essence of timelessness. Not the denial of aging or change, but the embrace of it. When you live with presence, you do not fear growing older because you no longer believe that age diminishes you. You understand that what truly matters, the essence of who you are, exists beyond the boundaries of time. If you wish to appear younger than your years, start by being here, fully and without resistance. Release the past, relinquish the future, and step into the only moment that truly exists, this one. For when you live with presence, you do not merely change how you look, you transform how you live. And that is a beauty that never fades. To grasp the deeper spiritual meaning behind why you appear younger than your age, we must explore the concept of alignment. Alignment with yourself, with the rhythms of life, and with existence itself. Aging, as we often perceive it, harsh, relentless, unforgiving, is not merely the passage of time. It is a reflection of how much we resist the natural flow of life. Those who seem to defy age are not clinging to youth, they are harmonizing with life's deeper truths. Alignment begins with authenticity. When you are in touch with your true self, you do not waste energy pretending, performing, or trying to fit into molds that were never meant for you. Consider the effort it takes to wear a mask, to sustain a version of yourself that pleases others but is untrue to your nature. That strain is not just mental, it is physical. It weighs on your body, dulls your spirit, and is visible in the way you move through life. Yet, when you live authentically, there is a lightness to your being. That lightness is what people see when they marvel at how, untouched by time, you appear. Living authentically does not mean life is without hardship. It means facing challenges from a place of inner truth. Instead of reacting from fear, guilt, or obligation, you respond from your core. This grounded, true response cultivates an inner peace that radiates outward, creating a natural glow. People who live in alignment do not possess a superficial youthfulness. They embody a deep connection to their essence. Another key to alignment is moving with life's natural flow. When you resist life, clinging to the past or trying to control the future, you create friction, and that friction ages you. But when you flow with life instead of against it, you conserve energy. You become like a leaf carried gently downstream, rather than one caught in a turbulent current. This does not mean you will not fight them. You trust the river to take you where you need to go. This kind of trust is rare in a world that teaches us to constantly strive, to always seek more, to measure ourselves by external standards. But those who appear timeless understand that striving is a trap. They know that true beauty and vitality arise not from effort, but from presence. They show up fully in each moment, not to reach a destination, but to honor the journey itself. When you align with yourself and life, you also align with others in a profound way. Authentic relationships do not drain you, they uplift you. And this energy, this sense of being nourished rather than depleted, keeps you feeling and looking alive. Relationships based on conflict, deception, or imbalance take a toll not just on emotions, but on your very being. But when you align with those who honor your truth, and you honor theirs, it nourishes you in a way that nothing else can. There is yet another layer to alignment, one that transcends the self. When you align with the vastness of existence, recognizing that you are not separate from the universe, but an integral part of it, you tap into an endless source of energy. This is not about religion or belief. It is about awareness. The same life force that moves through the trees, the oceans, and the stars moves through you. When you align with this force, you stop fighting life's current and allow it to carry you effortlessly. This sense of connection to something greater is deeply rejuvenating. It shifts your perspective, dissolves fear, and fills you with an unshakable peace. People who appear younger than their years often carry this peace within them. It is not that they have avoided hardship or escaped time. It is that they have learned to move with life rather than against it. So if you wonder why you appear younger than your age, consider this. It is not about genetics, luck, or lifestyle. It is about alignment. It is about living authentically, flowing with life, and embracing the deeper truths of existence. When you do this, you step outside the grip of time, not because you have stopped aging, but because you have stopped letting age define you. And in that space of alignment, you find not just youth, but something far greater, the timeless essence of who you truly are.
My friends, today we gather not just to hear words, but to open our hearts to truth. There is a silent suffering that too many endure, a burden placed upon the soul by those who were meant to love, protect, and cherish. A marriage designed by God to be a sacred bond of love and selflessness is sometimes twisted into something painful, something controlling, something that drains the spirit rather than uplifts. A narcissistic husband does not see his wife as a partner, but as a possession. He speaks words that wound rather than words that heal. He demands submission but refuses to give love. And some of you here today may know this pain all too well. You may feel trapped, unheard, and unvalued. A narcissistic husband often presents an illusion of love that is both captivating and deceptive. In the beginning, he may appear as the ideal partner, charming, attentive, and deeply invested in his wife's happiness. He showers her with affection, grand gestures, and words that seem to speak directly to her soul. He makes her feel special, chosen, and deeply cherished. This phase, often referred to as love bombing, is designed to draw her in, to make her believe that she has found the perfect relationship, one that others can only dream of. During this time, he mirrors her desires, appearing to share the same values, dreams, and passions. He listens intently, making her feel understood in ways she never has before. She may feel an overwhelming sense of connection, as though they were meant to be together. He creates an atmosphere of exclusivity, making her believe that their love is rare and extraordinary. But what seems like deep devotion is in reality the laying of a foundation for control. Once she is emotionally invested, the mask begins to slip. Subtle shifts start to occur. The once attentive husband becomes critical, impatient, or dismissive. His words, which once uplifted her, now carry an edge of condescension or judgment. He begins to exert control in small ways, questioning her choices, making her doubt her own decisions, or subtly implying that she is not as intelligent or capable as he once made her feel. This transition is gradual, almost imperceptible, designed to make her question whether the changes are real or simply figments of her imagination. As the relationship progresses, the loving gestures become conditional. The warmth and affection she once received freely are now used as tools of manipulation. She learns that his love is not unconditional. It is something she must earn, something that can be withdrawn at any moment. If she does something he disapproves of, he may withdraw his affection, give her the silent treatment, or even lash out in anger. She begins to internalize the belief that if she were simply better in some way, more obedient, less emotional, more appreciative, then the loving man she once knew would return. This belief keeps her trapped in a cycle of trying harder, giving more, and slowly losing herself in the process. Over time, his grand declarations of love turn into veiled insults, his sweet words replaced by backhanded compliments or outright belittlement. If she expresses hurt or frustration, he dismisses her feelings, telling her she is too sensitive or overreacting. He may rewrite history, denying things he once said or did, making her question her own memory and perception. This psychological manipulation, known as gaslighting, erodes her confidence and self-trust, leaving her dependent on his version of reality. He maintains control through unpredictability. Some days, he is the man she first fell in love with, charming, kind, and full of affection. On others, he is cold, distant, or cruel. This inconsistency creates an emotional roller coaster, keeping her in a constant state of confusion and anxiety. She never knows which version of him she will get, and so she works harder to please him, hoping to keep the peace and bring back the man she once knew. At the heart of this illusion of love is a deep-seated need for power. A narcissistic husband does not love in the way a healthy partner does. His love is not about mutual care, respect, or partnership. It is about possession, control, and validation. He does not see his wife as an equal, but as an extension of himself, someone who exists to fulfill his needs and reflect back the image he wants to see. If she no longer serves this purpose, if she challenges him, seeks independence, or no longer feeds his ego, he reacts with anger, manipulation, or even punishment. What makes this cycle so insidious is that despite the pain, there are still moments of tenderness, moments that remind her of the man she once loved. These glimpses of affection, however fleeting, keep her holding on, hoping that things will change. She rationalizes his behavior, making excuses for him. He's stressed. He had a difficult childhood. He doesn't mean to hurt her. The idea of leaving becomes unthinkable because she has been conditioned to believe that without him, she is nothing. The longer she stays, the more she loses sight of herself. Her world revolves around his moods, his needs, and his desires. She walks on eggshells, afraid to upset him, afraid to lose the moments of love he still offers. Her self-worth, once strong and independent, is now tied to his approval. She no longer recognizes the person she used to be. A narcissistic husband engages in a relentless battle of emotional and psychological warfare, using manipulation as his primary weapon. His tactics are subtle at first, almost invisible to an outsider, but they gradually intensify, leaving his wife trapped in a cycle of confusion, self-doubt, and emotional exhaustion. The goal is not to physically control her, but to break her spirit, to reshape her thoughts and emotions until she is completely dependent on him. One of the most powerful tools he employs is gaslighting. He twists reality, making his wife question her own perceptions and memories. He denies things he has said or done, even when there is clear evidence to the contrary. If she confronts him about his hurtful words, he may respond with statements like, "That never happened," or "You're imagining things." If she recalls a specific event, he might say, "You're exaggerating," or "You're too sensitive." Over time, she starts to doubt her own mind, unsure of what is real and what isn't. This gradual erosion of her confidence makes her more reliant on him for validation and truth, giving him even greater control over her thoughts. Blame shifting is another key strategy. A narcissistic husband never takes responsibility for his actions. When he is angry, it is because she made him that way. If he neglects or mistreats her, he insists that it is a reaction to something she did wrong. No matter what happens, it is always her fault. If she expresses hurt, he accuses her of being too emotional. If she asks for more attention, he calls her needy. If she tries to assert herself, he claims she is being disrespectful or ungrateful. These constant accusations force her into a defensive position, making her feel as though she must always explain or justify herself. He also engages in emotional invalidation, dismissing her feelings as irrational or insignificant. When she expresses sadness, he minimizes it by saying, "You're being dramatic." If she is upset, he tells her she's overreacting. When she shares her struggles, he responds with indifference or even ridicule. This repeated invalidation causes her to suppress her emotions, fearing that any expression of pain or frustration will only be met with mockery or dismissal. She learns to silence herself, to accept mistreatment without complaint, because speaking up never leads to change. It only leads to more suffering. Devaluation is another hallmark of his psychological warfare. In the early days of the relationship, he may have placed her on a pedestal, making her feel special and adored. But as time passes, he begins to chip away at her self-esteem. His words become crueler, his criticisms sharper. He makes sarcastic remarks about her appearance, intelligence, or abilities. He compares her to other women, implying that she falls short. Even in private moments, when she is most vulnerable, he finds ways to make her feel inadequate. He frames his insults as jokes. And if she reacts, he accuses her of being too sensitive. The steady stream of negativity reshapes her self-perception until she begins to believe that she is truly unworthy of love and respect. Triangulation is another tactic he uses to maintain control. He brings other people into their conflicts, making her feel isolated and powerless. He may tell her that others agree with him, that her family or friends think she is difficult or irrational. He may compare her to an ex-partner, making her feel as though she must compete for his approval. Sometimes he flirts with other women in front of her or speaks highly of them just to make her feel insecure. This technique keeps her off balance, always trying harder to prove herself. Desperate to regain his approval and love, the psychological warfare extends into silent punishments. When she displeases him, he withdraws, not just physically, but emotionally. He gives her the silent treatment, ignoring her presence as if she does not exist. This form of rejection is deeply painful, creating an unbearable loneliness, even when they are in the same room. She feels invisible, desperate to win back his affection. Over time, she learns to anticipate his needs, walking on eggshells to avoid his cold detachment. At times, he uses love as a weapon. When he senses that she is pulling away, he suddenly becomes the man she fell in love with. Kind, affectionate, and remorseful. He may offer a heartfelt apology, promising that things will change. He may shower her with gifts or affection, making her believe that the worst is over. This tactic, known as intermittent reinforcement, keeps her hopeful, making it even harder for her to leave. The unpredictability of his behavior creates an addiction-like response, where she clings to the good moments and endures the bad ones in the hope that love will return. Through this constant emotional and psychological manipulation, he reshapes her reality. He conditions her to seek his approval, to question her own worth, and to accept treatment she would have once found unacceptable. She becomes trapped in a maze of self-doubt, believing that the problem is not him, but her. A narcissistic husband thrives on control, and one of the most effective ways he maintains his dominance is by isolating his wife from external support systems. This process of isolation is not always obvious in the beginning. In fact, it often starts in subtle, seemingly harmless ways. He may initially frame it as deep love and devotion, making his wife believe that he simply wants to spend more time with her. He showers her with attention, making her feel special, as though their relationship is all she needs. However, beneath this illusion of devotion lies a calculated strategy to separate her from the very people who could offer her perspective, validation, and support. At first, he may express mild disapproval of her friends or family members, suggesting that they do not truly care for her or that they have a negative influence on their relationship. He might say things like, "I don't think your friend really has your best interests at heart," or "Your family doesn't seem to respect me." These comments plant the seeds of doubt in her mind, making her more cautious about those relationships. If she pushes back, he may escalate his tactics, creating tension and drama around her interactions with others. He might pick fights before she goes to visit a friend, or make her feel guilty for spending time with loved ones instead of him. Over time, she finds it easier to withdraw from those connections rather than deal with his reactions. He also seeks to control her by dictating who she can and cannot spend time with. If she insists on maintaining friendships, he may start monitoring her interactions, asking constant questions, checking her phone, or demanding to know where she is at all times. He may accuse her of being disloyal or of prioritizing others over their marriage. In doing so, he places her in a position where she must constantly justify her actions, making social interactions feel more like a burden than a source of joy. As her circle of support shrinks, he increases his emotional and psychological control. Without the perspective of trusted friends and family, she begins to rely solely on him for validation and guidance. He reinforces this by telling her that no one understands her like he does, or that others would never put up with her flaws the way he does. She begins to believe that he is the only person she can truly count on, further cementing her dependence on him. Financial control is another tool he uses to limit her independence. He may discourage her from working, insisting that he will provide for her. At first, this may seem like an act of generosity, but it is ultimately a means of making her financially dependent on him. If she does have a job, he may subtly undermine her confidence, belittling her career choices, or making her feel guilty for not devoting all of her time to the relationship. He may also take control of the household finances, restricting her access to money and requiring her to ask for permission before making any purchases. This financial dependency makes it even more difficult for her to leave, as she feels trapped without the means to support herself. He extends his control into the digital world as well. He may demand access to her phone, email, and social media accounts, monitoring her conversations and interactions. He might insist that she delete certain contacts or unfriend people he disapproves of. Over time, she becomes hyper-aware of his scrutiny, censoring herself to avoid conflict. She loses the freedom to express herself openly, as every action is subject to his judgment and potential punishment. Another way he isolates her is by creating conflict between her and others. He may spread lies or exaggerate situations to make her believe that people are against her. He might tell her that her friends have been speaking negatively about her, or that her family disapproves of her choices. By feeding her these false narratives, he fosters distrust between her and those who care about her. She begins to withdraw, not because she wants to, but because she believes she has no one left to turn to. As she becomes more isolated, her world shrinks to revolve entirely around him. She no longer has the outside perspectives that once gave her clarity and strength. Her self-esteem erodes as she internalizes his version of reality, believing that she is difficult, unworthy, or incapable of functioning without him. The more isolated she becomes, the more powerful he grows, ensuring that she remains under his control. A narcissistic husband systematically erodes his wife's self-worth through a series of calculated behaviors that slowly diminish her confidence, independence, and sense of identity. What starts as a loving, seemingly perfect relationship eventually turns into an emotional battlefield where she begins to question her own value. This process does not happen overnight. It is a gradual unraveling, a steady chipping away at her self-esteem until she is left feeling unworthy, inadequate, and powerless. At the core of this erosion is relentless criticism. In the beginning, his words may seem like small, harmless suggestions, comments about her appearance, how she speaks, or the way she handles situations. He may phrase them as if he is trying to help. You'd look better if you lost a little weight. Or, you don't always think things through, do you? These remarks are designed to make her second-guess herself, while also making her believe that he has her best interests at heart. Over time, the criticism becomes more direct and hurtful. He belittles her abilities, mocks her intelligence, and makes her feel as though she is never quite good enough. If she expresses hurt, he dismisses her feelings or tells her she is too sensitive. Eventually, she starts to internalize his words, believing that she truly is flawed and undeserving. Another tactic he uses is comparison. He frequently measures her against others, ex-partners, friends, strangers, or even fictional characters, implying that she does not measure up. Why can't you be more like her? Or other women don't act this way, are common phrases he uses to make her feel inferior. This keeps her in a state of constant striving, always trying to be better, always feeling like she is failing. She begins to view herself through his critical lens, doubting her worth and feeling inadequate no matter what she does. A narcissistic husband also undermines his wife's achievements. If she experiences success in her career, personal growth, or even small accomplishments, he downplays them or takes credit for them. Instead of celebrating her victories, he might say, "That's not a big deal," or "You wouldn't have done that without me." By minimizing her achievements, he ensures that she does not gain confidence or independence, keeping her reliant on his validation. Manipulation plays a significant role in this process. He twists reality to make her feel guilty for things that are not her fault. If he is unkind or cruel, he finds a way to blame her, saying things like, "You made me act this way," or "If you were a better wife, I wouldn't have to get upset." This self-blame eats away at her self-esteem, leaving her feeling powerless to change the dynamic. Another form of emotional abuse he employs is humiliation. Whether in private or in front of others, he finds ways to embarrass her. He might make fun of her in a way that seems like a joke but carries a cruel undertone. If she reacts, he tells her she has no sense of humor. He exposes her vulnerabilities, mocks her fears, or brings up past mistakes to remind her of her perceived failures. Public humiliation is especially effective in making her feel small and defenseless, reinforcing the belief that she has no value outside of him. He also exerts control over her emotions by creating unpredictable highs and lows. One moment he is affectionate, making her feel loved and cherished. The next he withdraws his affection or lashes out in anger. This inconsistency keeps her emotionally unstable, making her work even harder to please him in hopes of receiving his approval. She becomes addicted to the rare moments of kindness, enduring the cruelty because she believes that deep down he still loves her. Over time, she loses sight of the person she used to be. The vibrant, confident woman she once was is now filled with self-doubt and anxiety. She hesitates before speaking, afraid of saying the wrong thing. She second-guesses her decisions, convinced that she is incapable of making good choices. She stops pursuing her own interests and passions, believing that they are not valuable or that she is not talented enough. Her world becomes smaller, revolving entirely around his moods, his needs, and his approval. She may even struggle to recognize the extent of the damage. Because the change has been so gradual, she does not see how much she has lost herself. She remembers who she used to be, but feels disconnected from that person. She wonders why she feels so small, so unseen, so unworthy. She no longer trusts her own voice, relying on him to define her reality. A narcissistic husband does not handle conflict in a healthy or constructive manner. Instead of open communication, mutual understanding, or compromise, he turns every disagreement into a battle for dominance. His goal is not to resolve the issue, but to establish control, silence his wife's voice, and ensure that he emerges victorious. He does this through a range of manipulative tactics that leave his wife feeling unheard, invalidated, and emotionally drained. One of the most common strategies he employs is deflection. Whenever his wife tries to address an issue, he shifts the focus away from himself and onto her. If she confronts him about his hurtful words or actions, he immediately turns the conversation around, making her feel like she is the problem. "You're always nagging me," or "You just love to start fights," are phrases he uses to make her second-guess herself. Instead of taking responsibility for his behavior, he forces her to defend herself, ensuring that the original issue is never discussed. Blame shifting is another key tactic. A narcissistic husband refuses to admit fault, no matter how clear his wrongdoing may be. He always finds a way to place the blame on his wife, making her feel responsible for his actions. If he yells at her, it's because she pushed him to it. If he withdraws affection, it's because she hasn't been acting right. Even in moments when she is hurt, he finds a way to make it her fault. "If you weren't so sensitive, this wouldn't be an issue," he tells her, making her question whether she has the right to feel upset at all. Another way he controls conflicts is through stonewalling. When he doesn't get his way, he shuts down completely, refusing to engage in any conversation. He may give her the silent treatment for hours or even days, making her feel invisible and insignificant. This emotional withdrawal is meant to punish her, to make her feel guilty and desperate to restore peace. She learns that if she wants the silence to end, she must back down, apologize, or suppress her feelings. Over time, she stops bringing up concerns altogether, knowing that any attempt to discuss an issue will result in punishment. A narcissistic husband also thrives on escalation. Instead of resolving conflicts calmly, he amplifies them into full-blown arguments. He raises his voice, hurls insults, or even breaks things to instill fear and intimidation. His goal is to overwhelm his wife emotionally, making her so exhausted and distressed that she gives in just to make the argument stop. This tactic is particularly effective because it wears her down over time, making her hesitant to express any dissatisfaction in the future. She learns that speaking up only leads to chaos, so she stays silent, suppressing her own needs and emotions. Gaslighting plays a major role in how a narcissistic husband handles conflict. He distorts reality to make his wife question her own memories and perceptions. If she recalls an argument where he said something hurtful, he denies it ever happened. "I never said that," or "you're making things up," are common phrases he uses to rewrite history. He convinces her that she is misremembering events, that she is overreacting, or even that she is mentally unstable. Over time, she begins to doubt herself, wondering if she is the one who is wrong. This makes her more vulnerable to his control, as she no longer trusts her own mind. Another destructive behavior is his need to win at all costs. In a healthy relationship, disagreements are about understanding each other's perspectives and finding a resolution. But for a narcissistic husband, conflict is a power struggle. He does not care about compromise. He only cares about asserting his dominance. If his wife tries to explain her side, he dismisses her completely, cutting her off, rolling his eyes, or mocking her emotion. If she gets upset, he uses it against her, telling her she is too emotional or irrational. He refuses to acknowledge her feelings, making her feel small and insignificant. Projection is another tactic he employs. Instead of admitting his own faults, he accuses his wife of the very behaviors he exhibits. If he is being dishonest, he accuses her of lying. If he is emotionally unavailable, he claims that she is distant. If he is manipulative, he calls her controlling. By projecting his own flaws onto her, he keeps her on the defensive, making her question herself instead of questioning him. When all else fails, he uses manipulation to regain control. If an argument isn't going in his favor, he may suddenly shift his tone, becoming affectionate or remorseful. He may apologize, not because he truly means it, but because he wants to stop her from leaving or asserting herself. He might even cry, playing the victim to make her feel guilty. This creates confusion as she begins to question whether he is really as cruel as he seems. She clings to the brief moments of kindness, believing that deep down he still cares. Through all these tactics, a narcissistic husband ensures that every conflict ends in his favor. His wife is left feeling unheard, invalidated, and powerless. She learns that no matter how valid her concerns may be, they will always be dismissed, twisted, or turned against her. She starts to believe that speaking up is futile, that her voice does not matter. The longer she stays in the relationship, the more she loses her sense of self, trapped in a cycle where conflict is never about resolution. It is always about his control. A narcissistic husband creates an environment of emotional and psychological captivity, making it extremely difficult for his wife to leave the relationship. He does not rely on physical force alone, though in some cases it may escalate to that, but rather he uses a complex web of manipulation, fear, and emotional dependence to keep her trapped. Every aspect of his behavior is carefully designed to make her feel as though she has no other choice but to stay, even when she knows deep down that she is suffering. One of the strongest tools he uses is fear. This fear is not always physical. In many cases, it is psychological. He instills a deep sense of dread about what will happen if she leaves. He might threaten her directly, telling her that she will never survive without him, that no one else will love her, or that she will lose everything. If they have children, he may use them as leverage, threatening to take them away, or convince them that she is the bad parent. He may threaten self-harm, making her feel responsible for his well-being. Even if he does not explicitly state these threats, he creates an environment where she constantly fears the unknown, believing that leaving would bring greater harm than staying. He also ensures that she feels utterly dependent on him. Over time, he strips away her financial independence, making it nearly impossible for her to leave without facing serious economic hardship. If she does not work, he reminds her constantly that she has no means of supporting herself. If she does work, he may sabotage her career by discouraging her ambitions, creating stress that affects her performance. He takes control of finances, ensuring that she has no access to money, making it difficult for her to save up or make independent decisions. Without financial security, the idea of leaving becomes overwhelming, and she begins to believe that she has no way out. A narcissistic husband also works to destroy his wife's self-esteem, ensuring that she no longer believes she is capable of surviving on her own. Through years of emotional abuse, he convinces her that she is weak, incompetent, and unworthy of a better life. He tells her that she is too emotional, too irrational, too dependent. Ironically, the very qualities he has forced upon her by repeatedly undermining her confidence. He makes her feel as though she is not strong enough to face the world without him. Even when she fantasizes about escaping, she hears his voice in her mind telling her that she will fail. Another way he keeps her trapped is by isolating her from any potential support system. He has spent months or even years driving a wedge between her and her friends, family, or anyone who might help her leave. If she does still have relationships outside of him, he may attempt to discredit them, making her believe that they do not truly care about her or that they would judge her for leaving. He may tell her that no one will believe her if she speaks out about the abuse, or worse, that they will blame her. He fosters an atmosphere of secrecy, making her feel like she has nowhere to turn. Guilt is another powerful tool in his arsenal. He makes her feel responsible for the relationship, convincing her that if she leaves, she is abandoning her vows, breaking up the family, or causing him unnecessary pain. He reminds her of the good times, using selective memory to make her doubt whether the bad times were really that bad. He may suddenly become affectionate, showing glimpses of the man she fell in love with, making her believe that there is still hope for change. He keeps her stuck in a cycle of emotional highs and lows, ensuring that every time she considers leaving, he reels her back in with just enough kindness to make her stay. He also manipulates her perception of time, making her feel as though she has already invested too much to walk away now. He reminds her of all the years they have spent together, making it seem as though leaving would mean throwing everything away. He tells her that no one will want her now, that she is too old to start over, or that she will never find someone who loves her. He distorts reality, making her believe that the world outside of him is cruel and unwelcoming. Legal and logistical obstacles further complicate her ability to leave. If they are married, he may threaten to drag out a divorce, knowing that she does not have the financial or emotional strength to fight him. If they own property together, he makes sure she feels trapped by shared assets. If they have children, he uses custody battles as a weapon, telling her that she will never see her children again. The mere thought of navigating the legal system against him feels impossible, making her more inclined to stay simply to avoid the fight. Perhaps one of the most heartbreaking aspects of this dynamic is that she may not even fully recognize how trapped she is. She has spent so much time enduring his manipulation that she has normalized his behavior, convincing herself that every relationship has struggles, that no marriage is perfect. She may compare herself to others and assume that she simply needs to try harder, be more patient, or fix herself in order to make things work. She may still believe that deep down, he loves her, and that if she can just find the right way to reach him, things will change. Through all these tactics, fear, dependence, isolation, guilt, and manipulation, a narcissistic husband ensures that leaving feels impossible. Even when she knows she deserves better, even when she dreams of a life beyond him, she feels paralyzed, unable to take the first step. She is not just physically trapped, but mentally and emotionally imprisoned, held captive by a man who has built his power on her suffering. A narcissistic husband does not simply hurt his wife, he systematically dismantles her sense of self, her confidence, and her freedom. He does not love in the way love is meant to be given, with care, respect, and selflessness. Instead, he loves through control, through manipulation, through the slow erosion of the woman he once claimed to cherish. He twists her reality, making her question her worth, her sanity, and her ability to survive without him. And through it all, she stays. Not because she does not want to leave, but because he has convinced her that she cannot. But let me tell you something today. She can. No woman was created to live under the weight of oppression, under the chains of emotional, psychological, and sometimes even physical imprisonment. No woman was meant to walk on eggshells, afraid of the man who promised to love and protect her. And no woman should ever believe the lie that she is too weak, too broken, or too dependent to reclaim her life. Because the truth is, she is stronger than she knows. Freedom begins the moment she recognizes that his love is not love at all. It begins when she realizes that love does not belittle, love does not degrade, love does not destroy, love builds, love strengthens, love empowers. And the day she steps away from his manipulation is the day she steps into the truth of who she really is. A woman of worth, a woman of dignity, a woman deserving of peace. To every woman who has endured the pain of a narcissistic husband, hear me now. You are not alone. The darkness he created around you is not impenetrable. The world is still waiting for you, still open to you, still filled with people who will love you the way you deserve to be loved. There is help, there is hope, and there is life beyond him. You do not need his approval to leave. You do not need his permission to reclaim yourself. The strength he tried to steal from you is still inside you, waiting for the moment you choose yourself over his control. And when you do, when you finally break free, you will not just be surviving. You will be living fully, freely, and fearlessly.
Ladies and gentlemen, there comes a time in life when you must make a decision, one that defines your self-worth, your dignity, and your future. And that decision is this: never, under any circumstance, forgive certain betrayals. Betrayal is not an accident. It is a choice, a deliberate decision to deceive, to hurt, to break trust. Some wounds are not meant to heal, nor should they, because forgiveness is not always the answer. Sometimes walking away is. Tonight I will reveal the 7 betrayals you should never forgive, not because you are bitter, not because you seek revenge, but because your peace, your self-respect, and your very soul depend on it. Stay with me until the end, and you may just find the courage to walk away from those who do not deserve your grace. Trust is fragile. It takes years to build, seconds to break, and an eternity to repair, if it can be repaired at all. When someone chooses to lie to you, they are making a decision, a conscious, deliberate decision to deceive. A lie is not an accident. It is not a slip of the tongue or an unfortunate misstep. It is a betrayal, a crack in the very foundation of any meaningful relationship. And when that lie is repeated, when it becomes a habit rather than a mistake, it is no longer just a crack, it is a collapse. Some will tell you that lies can be forgiven, that everyone deserves a second chance. But ask yourself this: how many times has a liar truly changed? How many times has someone who lied to your face, swore they'd never do it again, actually stopped? Words are easy. Words are cheap. A person who has made deception a part of their nature does not respect you. They may say they do, they may promise they love you, care for you, cherish you, but love without honesty is nothing more than a performance, a well-rehearsed act designed to keep you where they want you. Unsure, doubting yourself, questioning your own instincts, and that is where they win. Because the more you doubt your own perception, the easier it is for them to deceive you again. People don't lie for your benefit. They lie for themselves, to avoid consequences, to maintain control, to twist reality into something that serves them. And every time you forgive a lie, you give them permission to do it again. You teach them that your trust is not valuable, that it can be broken and restored at their convenience. So what do? Do you confront them? Do you demand the truth? And if they admit it, if they apologize, do you give them another chance? Here's the truth. They were never sorry for lying. They were only sorry they got caught. A person who is truly remorseful does not wait to be exposed. They confess. They come to you unprompted, unasked, because the weight of their deception is too much to bear. But how often does that happen? How often does a liar step forward and admit what they have done before you even suspect it? Rarely. Because most are not sorry for the lie. They are only sorry for the consequences. Some betrayals leave scars. Some cannot be undone. And the betrayal of a repeated lie is one of them. Because it is not just about false words. It is about what those words steal from you. Your sense of safety, your confidence in your own judgment, your ability to trust again. And then there is disrespect, not the obvious kind, not the shouting, not the cruel words hurled in anger. No, the most dangerous form of disrespect is the quiet kind. The kind that creeps in unnoticed, disguised as a joke, a careless remark, an absent-minded shrug. You know the feeling. You've voiced your concern, spoken your heart, shared your pain, and they dismiss it. They wave it away with a laugh, roll their eyes, tell you you're overreacting. That is not just disrespect, that is erasure, a deliberate act. Do not matter. It starts small, a comment here, a joke there, but disrespect, like rust, spreads. And one day you realize you are no longer standing in a relationship built on mutual care and understanding. You are standing in a place where your feelings are optional, where your needs are secondary, where you have been conditioned to accept less and less until you forget you ever deserved more. Respect is not a request. It is not something you beg for. It is the bare minimum, the foundation of any relationship, whether romantic, familial, or friendship. Without respect, love is meaningless. Words of affection are hollow, promises are empty. There will always be those who test your boundaries, who see how much they can take before you push back. And if you don't, they will keep taking, inch by inch, until you have nothing left. Because a person who truly respects you does not need to be reminded to value you. They already do. The worst mistake you can make is explaining to someone how they should treat you. If they don't already know, if they cannot see your worth without you spelling it out, they never truly will. And so you have a choice. Do you stay, hoping that one day they will wake up and realize your value, or do you walk away, not with anger, not with bitterness, but with the quiet certainty that you deserve better? Because at the end of the day, the most powerful decision you will ever make is to stop allowing people to treat you as if you are less than what you are. And once you make that choice, something remarkable happens. The right people stay, the wrong ones leave, and for the first time in a long time, you are free. You were not inadequate, not unworthy, not undeserving of honesty and respect. That is a lie. Betrayal is not a reflection of your shortcomings. It is a testament to their weakness. It reveals their lack of integrity, courage, and strength to do what is right. It was never about you. The moment you truly internalize this, something shifts. The pain, though still present, begins to lose its grip. The endless questioning, was it my fault? Was I not enough? Could I have done something differently? Dissipates. In its place comes a quiet certainty, an unshakable truth. You were not betrayed because of who you are. You were betrayed because of who they are. Some people will lie to your face and expect you to believe them. They will look you in the eye, swear they are telling the truth, and continue living their deception as if your trust is nothing more than a game. And when they are caught, they will not feel remorse, only regret. Regret that they could not continue their game. Regret that they did not cover their tracks better. Regret that they now have to face the consequences of their actions. But you are not here to clean up their mess. You are not here to ease their regret, to grant them a free pass back into your life simply because they suddenly feel bad. They made their choices. Let them live with them. You are not responsible for the character flaws of others. You are not obligated to fix, to heal, to endlessly understand those who refuse to take accountability. And you are most certainly not required to forgive simply because they asked for it. They will say it was a mistake, that they did not mean to, that they were confused, lost, going through something. Yet, when given the chance, they did not choose honesty, they did not choose loyalty, they did not choose you. That is all you need to know. That is all the closure you will ever need. Because in the end, one undeniable truth remains. People do not betray those they truly value. And if they can do it once, they can do it again. Do not waste your time trying to understand why they did it. Do not waste your energy searching for the missing piece that will make it all make sense. It will never make sense because the problem was never with you. The problem was them, their choices, their flaws, their inability to be the person they pretended to be. And once you accept that, truly accept it, you are free. Free from the burden of their betrayal, free from the guilt of not forgiving, free to walk away with your dignity intact, knowing that you are worth more than the lies, the manipulation, the betrayal they tried to make you accept. There's no shame in refusing to forgive. There is no weakness in choosing yourself over someone who would have destroyed you if you had let them. There is only strength. There is only power. There is only the quiet, unshakable truth that you deserve better. And once you know that, once you truly believe it, nothing and no one will ever have the power to betray you again. A dangerous mistake people make is believing that kindness must always be met with kindness. That if they continue to give, to forgive, to extend grace, it will eventually be recognized, appreciated, and returned. But that is not how the world works. That is not how people work. Some see kindness as weakness. Some see forgiveness as permission. Some see second chances as an invitation to betray again, and they will. It is a harsh truth, but a necessary one. Not everyone who hurts you is sorry. Not everyone who apologizes means it. Not everyone who promises to change has any intention of doing so. Some people test boundaries not to be better, but to see how much they can get away with. The more you excuse, the more you tolerate, the more you lower your standards, the more they take. Not by accident, not out of ignorance, but because they know they can. Manipulation does not always come in grand gestures or obvious schemes. Sometimes it comes in quiet persuasion, in guilt, in subtle shifts that make you question your own judgment. They will tell you that you are overreacting, that you are too sensitive, that you are imagining things, and with enough repetition, you start to believe them. That is how control works. It does not demand power, it convinces you to give it away. They will make you believe that their actions were not meant to hurt you, that their betrayal was not intentional, that if you could just understand them, then everything would be all right. But what they truly want is not understanding, it is submission. They want you to silence your instincts, to ignore the voice inside you that knows something is wrong, to dismiss your own reality so that theirs can continue uninterrupted. And once you do, once they see that you are willing to doubt yourself for their benefit, they have you exactly where they want you. Some people do not take advantage of others because they are cruel. They do it because they can. Because they have learned that if they cry just the right way, if they apologize with just the right words, if they make you feel guilty enough for walking away, you will stay. And once you stay, once you prove to them that their actions have no real consequences, they will do it again. There is no nobility in allowing yourself to be used. There is no strength in making excuses for someone who refuses to change. If a person disrespects you once and you forgive them, they will learn that they can disrespect you again. If they betray you once and you let them back in, they will learn that betrayal is not something you truly fear. And if they hurt you again and again and you keep believing that one day they will stop, they will learn that you are willing to suffer for the illusion of love. But there is something more powerful than forgiveness, more liberating than understanding, and that is knowing when to walk away. Walking away is not a weakness. It is not bitter. It is not cruel. It is survival. People will tell you that love means staying through the hard times, that relationships require work, that loyalty is about forgiveness. But that is only true when the other person values you as much as you value them. Love is not pain. Love is not sacrifice. Love is not something you must prove by enduring endless suffering. Love is mutual, or it is nothing at all. If someone can abandon you in your darkest moments, if they can turn their back on you when you need them most, if they can leave without hesitation while you are drowning, then they do not love you, not truly, because love does not disappear when it is inconvenient. Love does not fade when times are hard. Love does not walk away and return only when it is easy again. You have seen it before. The friend who is there when times are good but vanishes when life becomes difficult. The partner who claims to love you but cannot handle your pain. The family member who only reaches out when they need something. These people do not love you. They love what you can offer. They love the comfort of your presence, the security of knowing you are always there, the convenience of your support. But when you are the one in need, when you are struggling, when you are looking for the same loyalty you have given so freely, they disappear. A person who can leave you in your worst moments is not someone who deserves to be there in your best. And once they have made their choice, it is time for you to make yours. Do not waste your life on those who betray you. Forgiveness is not a duty, it is a privilege reserved for those who are truly sorry, those who have earned another chance. But for those who continue to lie, disrespect, manipulate, and abandon you, never forgive, never forget, and most importantly, never look back. This is your life. Protect it. Let me tell you something. Not all betrayals deserve forgiveness. Some wounds cut so deep that they leave scars on your souls. Scars that no amount of apologies can heal. Some betrayals are not just mistakes, they are deliberate choices to break your heart, to shatter your trust, to rob you of your peace. And if you're sitting there struggling, questioning whether you should forgive certain people who have stabbed you in the back, let me open your eyes today. There are betrayals you should never forgive, not because you are heartless, not because you are bitter, but because some people don't deserve a second chance to destroy you. So listen closely, because if you've ever been hurt, if you've ever been used, if you've ever been lied to, this message is for you. Number one, the betrayal of deception. There is no betrayal more damaging than deception. When someone looks you in the eye and lies to you, they are not just bending the truth, they are breaking the very foundation of trust that holds a relationship together. Lies are not accidents, they are choices. Choices made with full awareness that they are prioritizing their selfish desires over your trust, over your heart, over the love you have given them. Deception is not just about lying with words, it is about hiding the truth, twisting reality, making you believe in something that was never real. It is the betrayal that makes you question everything, your instincts, your memories, your judgment. It's when someone convinces you that you're paranoid for doubting them, even though deep down your gut is screaming that something isn't right. That's the thing about deception. It doesn't just break your trust in them, it makes you doubt yourself. And when you start doubting yourself, you lose a part of who you are. You see, when someone deceives you, they are not just telling a lie, they are living a lie. They are building a world around you that is based on manipulation, and the longer you stay in that world, the harder it becomes to recognize the truth. The hardest part about being deceived isn't just discovering the lie, it's realizing how long you lived in the illusion, how long you trusted someone who never deserved it, how many moments you spent believing in something that never really existed. Some people will look you in the eyes and swear they love you while betraying you behind your back. They will make promises with no intention of keeping them. They will swear their loyalty while planting the seeds of their next betrayal. And the worst part, when you finally catch them, they won't feel guilty for what they did. They will only feel bad that they got caught. That's when you realize that deception isn't just about a lie. It's about the complete lack of respect for your heart, your mind, your soul. It is about them choosing themselves every single time, at your expense. But deception is not always obvious. It does not always come in the form of a blatant lie. Sometimes it's a quiet manipulation. It's someone withholding the truth because they know that if you knew the whole story, you would walk away. It's someone pretending to be one thing while secretly being another. It's someone gaslighting you, making you feel like you're overreacting when in reality your intuition is screaming that something isn't right. And here's the truth: once someone has proven that they can lie to you, they can do it again. If they have the ability to deceive you once, they have the ability to do it over and over again. Because deception is not just a mistake, it is a mindset, a way of living. And some people have spent their entire lives perfecting it. They know exactly what to say, exactly how to act, exactly how to make you question your own reality. They know how to cry on command, how to make themselves look like the victim, how to twist the truth just enough to make you doubt what you saw with your own eyes. But let me tell you something, your intuition is never wrong. You don't need proof to know when something feels off. You don't need evidence to trust your gut, because deep down your soul recognizes when someone is playing games with your heart. And the longer you ignore it, the more damage it will do. Because deception is not just painful, it is toxic. It poisons everything it touches. It makes you second-guess people who are actually good for you because you're too busy recovering from the ones who lied to you. It makes you guarded, makes you build walls, makes you question love. And that's why you can't afford to tolerate deception in your life. You can't afford to forgive someone who has made a habit of betraying your trust. Because the moment you allow deception to stay, you invite more of it in. The moment you let someone lie to you and face no real consequences, they learn one thing: they can get away with it. And if they can get away with it once, they will do it again. There are people out there who will love you with complete honesty. People who will never make you doubt their words, their actions, their heart. People who will not put you in a position where you have to question their loyalty. And you deserve that kind of love. You deserve someone whose words and actions align. Someone who does not need to be caught in a lie because they don't tell lies in the first place. Someone who respects you enough to give you the truth, even when it's hard. So, don't waste your time forgiving a liar who has no intention of changing. Don't waste your energy trying to fix someone who is comfortable living a double life. Don't lower your standards just to keep someone in your life who doesn't even respect you enough to be honest with you. Because at the end of the day, a relationship built on deception will always end in destruction. The only question is, will you let it destroy you too? Value your own worth more than those who fail to appreciate you. Never tolerate, excuse, or accept betrayal. For the moment you forgive infidelity, you pave the way for it to happen again. You deserve better. Someone whose love is unwavering, whose loyalty is absolute, and for whom cheating is never an option. You deserve a love that does not make you question your place, that does not force you to compete for attention, and that does not make you feel disposable. Let them go. Let them bear the weight of their actions. Live with the regret of losing something real for something temporary. One day they will realize their mistake, but by then you will have moved on. To someone who understands the meaning of loyalty, the betrayal of disrespect. Respect is the foundation of every healthy relationship. Without it, trust crumbles, love fades, and what seemed like a strong bond becomes fragile, ready to break at the slightest strain. When someone betrays you with disrespect, it is more than just hurtful, it cuts deep into your soul. It is a violation of who you are, a disregard for everything you have given, done, and sacrificed. Disrespect takes many forms, but it always carries the same sting. It is in the way they belittle you, dismiss your feelings, or act as if your thoughts and needs are irrelevant. It is in the way they disregard your boundaries, make decisions without considering you, and treat you as if you don't matter. Disrespect is never accidental. It is a choice that sends a clear message You are not important to me. When faced with disrespect, you start questioning everything. You wonder if the person you loved and gave your all to ever truly valued you. This betrayal is not always loud and dramatic. Sometimes it is subtle, creeping in through passive-aggressive remarks, condescending tones, and an endless cycle of being made to feel less than you are. The betrayal of disrespect is also a betrayal of equality. A healthy relationship is built on mutual respect and understanding. When someone disrespects you, they see themselves as superior, entitled to dictate your feelings, make decisions for you, and diminish your worth. They criticize you in public, put you down in private, and make you feel inadequate. And the worst part? They will continue to do it because they know they can. This is the moment for a choice. Will you continue to tolerate their behavior, or will you say enough is enough? The moment you allow disrespect, you start to lose yourself. You begin to believe you are not worthy of respect, love, or kindness. But let me tell you, you are. You are worthy of dignity, of being heard, valued, and respected. If someone cannot see that, if they cannot appreciate the incredible person you are, they do not deserve you. You are not here to be an emotional or mental punching bag. You are here to stand tall, to demand the respect you deserve. Disrespect is a slow burn, eroding your confidence, trust, and self-worth. But you are more than enough, and no one has the right to make you feel otherwise. The betrayal of disrespect has a devastating ripple effect. It not only destroys trust in the betrayer, but also erodes your trust in yourself. You begin doubting your judgment, accepting less than you deserve, and sinking into a cycle of self-doubt. But you can break free, reclaim your power. Stop accepting disrespect. The moment you refuse to tolerate it, you begin to heal. You start rebuilding your self-respect and confidence. When you respect yourself, you no longer tolerate those who treat you as less than you are. You become stronger, more confident, and more capable of walking away from toxic relationships. You recognize your worth and refuse to let anyone take it away. If you are in a relationship, this betrayal leaves a scar on your soul. When we build relationships, whether with a partner, friend, or family, we do so with the unspoken promise that we will stand together through life's storms. We believe we are not alone, yet some people prove that their loyalty is conditional. They stay when it is easy and beneficial, but disappear when life gets hard, when real sacrifice is required. The betrayal of abandonment is in their empty promises, the ones they never intended to keep. It is in the way they vanish when you need them most, leaving without explanation, without a fight, without a single word of closure. It is in the way they let you drown, gasping for air, while they find their way to safety, never once reaching back to pull you out. It is in the way they convinced you that you mattered, only to walk away as if you never did. The worst part, what it does to you. When someone abandons you, they do not just leave a hole in your life, they leave a wound in your heart, a wound that whispers lies. You weren't enough. You weren't worth staying for. You weren't worth loving. And those lies take root. They make you question your worth, your value, your ability to be loved. They make you afraid to trust, afraid to open your heart, afraid to believe in promises, because the last time you did, it nearly destroyed you. But let me tell you the truth. You were never the problem. Their inability to stay, their choice to walk away, their failure to hold on, that is on them. It reflects who they are, not who you are, because real love, real friendship, real loyalty, they do not run at the first sign of hardship. They do not leave when times get tough. They stay, they fight, they stand beside you. So do not let their betrayal define you. Do not let their actions convince you that you are unworthy of love and loyalty. You are enough. You always have been, and one day you will find people who will never abandon you because they will see your worth and never let you go. Trouble doesn't vanish when things get messy. It doesn't abandon the people it claims to care about. True commitment is tested in the fire. It's easy to stay when everything is perfect, but real love fights. Real love endures. Real love refuses to leave. And if someone couldn't do that for you, then they were never truly meant to be in your life. But I know that doesn't make the pain disappear. It doesn't erase the nights you spent crying, the moments you felt alone in a crowded room, the times you wanted to scream, "Why wasn't I enough?" It doesn't change the fact that you gave them your heart, your time, your trust, and in return, they left you with nothing but questions. But let me ask you this, if someone was willing to abandon you, do you really want them back? Because here's the truth, people who leave when it's inconvenient were never meant to be part of your future. They were only ever meant to teach you a lesson about strength, about resilience, about standing on your own 2 feet, even when the very counted on are nowhere to be found. The betrayal of abandonment is one of the most painful betrayals of all, but it's also one of the most revealing. It shows you exactly who people are. It strips away the illusions and forces you to see the truth. Some people were never built to last. Some people were only temporary. Some people were never capable of loving you the way you deserved to be loved. And you survived it. Maybe you didn't think you would. Maybe there were nights when you felt like you wouldn't make it. Maybe you sat in silence, staring at your phone, hoping they would call, hoping they would come back, hoping they would explain why they left you like you meant nothing. But you're still here. And that says something. That says you're stronger than you ever thought you were. Because abandonment doesn't just break you, it builds you. It forces you to find your own strength. It pushes you to become the kind of person who doesn't need someone else to hold them up. It teaches you that even if everyone else walks away, you will always have yourself. And that is powerful. So if someone has abandoned you, if someone has walked out of your life like you were nothing, let them go. Do not chase them. Do not beg for an explanation. Do not waste another second wondering why they didn't stay, because the truth is anyone who could leave you that easily was never truly meant for you, and the people who are meant for you, they won't leave. They won't make you question your worth. They will stand beside you through the chaos, through the storms, through the moments when you feel unworthy of love. Because real love doesn't abandon you. And if you're still healing, if you're still feeling the weight of their absence, if you're still picking up the pieces of your heart, know this. One day you will look back and realize that their departure was not your loss. It was your gain. It made room for something better, something stronger, something real. You will love again. You will trust again. You will build something greater than what you lost. And the next time someone promises to stay, you will know the difference between empty words and real commitment. So stand tall, hold your head high. You were never abandoned. You were set free. The betrayal of envy. There is a kind of betrayal that hides behind smiles, one that walks beside you in silence, pretending to celebrate your wins while secretly hoping for your downfall. It's the betrayal of envy. And let me tell you, this one is dangerous. It's not loud like deception. It's not obvious like infidelity. It doesn't announce itself like abandonment. No, this betrayal creeps in slowly. It comes from the people you least expect, the ones who claim to love you, support you, stand with you. But deep down, they cannot stand to see you rise. Envy is a poison, and when it infects someone close to you, they won't always show it outright. They'll still laugh with you, still shake your hand, still show up at your celebrations, but something feels off. You can sense it in the way their eyes don't quite shine when you share good news. You can hear it in the emptiness of their compliments. in the hesitation before they congratulate you. And if you ignore it long enough, you'll start to notice the sabotage. The subtle ways they try to pull you down, the discouragement disguised as advice, the little jabs at your dreams, the doubts they plant in your mind. See, people who truly love you, people who are truly for you, don't get bitter when you succeed. They don't grow silent when you win. They don't start treating you differently when your life begins to flourish. Real friends, real family, real partners, they celebrate with you. They lift you up. They take joy in your joy. But an envious person, they don't want to see you shine, because every step you take forward reminds them of how stuck they feel. Every victory you achieve makes them feel smaller, and instead of using that as motivation to improve themselves, they resent you for it. That is the betrayal of envy. It's the betrayal that makes someone compete with you when you never signed up for a competition. It's the betrayal that makes someone wish for your failure even though you've done nothing but cheer for them. It's the betrayal that makes someone act like they love you when in reality they're just waiting for the moment you fall. And the worst part, this betrayal comes from the inside, from the people you let close, the people you trust. Strangers don't envy you like this. Enemies don't pretend to support you. No, envy comes from friends, from family, from partners, the people who smile in your face while secretly hoping you don't make it too far ahead. You can feel it, can't you? That time you got a promotion and they suddenly went quiet. That time you found love and they started acting distant. That time you accomplished something big and instead of cheering, they made some backhanded comment that left you feeling uneasy. That wasn't your imagination, that was envy. And listen to me, envy is dangerous, because an envious person won't just sit back and watch you win. No, at some point they will try to pull you down. They will talk behind your back. They will try to plant seeds of doubt in your mind. They will belittle your success, make you feel guilty for your blessings, try to make you question whether you even deserve what you have, and if they get desperate enough, they will sabotage you. They will betray you in ways you never saw coming. That's why you cannot ignore the warning signs. You cannot keep people around just because of history, just because you've known them for years, just because they once had your back. Envy changes people, and if you're not careful, you'll be standing in the middle of your success, wondering why you feel so alone, only to realize that the very people you thought were with you were the ones secretly hoping you'd fail. So what do? You distance yourself. You stop trying to win their approval. You stop shrinking yourself to make them comfortable. Because let me tell you something, your success will not be a funeral for their ego. That is their problem to deal with, not yours. You have worked for what you have. You have sacrificed. You have struggled. You have pushed through pain they know nothing about. Do not let their envy make you feel guilty for what you've earned. The betrayal of envy is painful because it forces you to see the truth about people you once loved, but it is also a gift, because it shows you who truly belongs in your circle, who is genuinely for you, who you can trust. And trust, that is priceless. Whether it's a partner, a friend, or even family, you trusted them, you let them in. And because you love them, you want to believe they don't mean to hurt you, that maybe you're just being too sensitive, that maybe you do need to try harder. So you give them chance after chance, ignoring that sinking feeling in your gut, ignoring the exhaustion in your soul, ignoring the way your spirit feels a little more broken every time you interact with them. That is the betrayal of emotional manipulation. It's not just a violation of trust, it's a violation of self. It takes your love and turns it into a leash. It takes your kindness and uses it against you. It takes your loyalty and changes you to someone who does nothing but drain you. And the longer you stay, the harder it becomes to see the truth, because manipulators don't want you to leave. No, they want to keep you exactly where you are, doubting yourself, needing them, bending to their will. Let me tell you something. Real love does not feel like a battlefield where you are constantly fighting for clarity. Real love does not leave you feeling confused, exhausted, guilty, and empty. If someone truly loves you, they will never manipulate your emotions to control you. They will never make you feel small just to make themselves feel big. They will never twist your words, invalidate your feelings, or use your love as a weapon against you. But manipulators, they do it every single time. They gaslight you, making you feel like you're crazy for even questioning them. They guilt trip you, making you feel like a bad person for setting boundaries. They play the victim, making you feel like you are the one hurting them, even though it's the other way around. And when you finally try to walk away, that's when they pull out their final trick. That's when they beg, when they cry, when they promise to change. That's when they remind you of the good times, the laughter, the love. And if you're not careful, you'll believe them. You'll give them another chance. And the cycle will start all over again. But listen to me, you do not owe anyone your peace. You do not owe anyone unlimited chances. You do not owe anyone the right to break you just because you love them. If someone is manipulating you, if someone is making you feel like you can't even trust your own mind, that is not love. That is control. And the only way to escape it is to recognize it for what it is. So if you feel like you're constantly walking on eggshells, if you feel like your emotions are always being dismissed, if you feel like every argument somehow ends with you apologizing, even when you know deep down you did nothing wrong, pay attention, because that is not a relationship, that is not friendship, that is manipulation, and you deserve better than that. The hardest part about leaving an emotional manipulator is that they have spent so much time convincing you that you need them, that without them you'll be lost, that no one else will love you, support you, or understand you the way they do. But let me tell you something. The moment you step away, the moment you reclaim your voice, the moment you say enough and choose yourself, you will see the truth. You will see how strong you really are. You will see how much peace was waiting for you on the other side. You will see that real love, healthy love, does not require you to sacrifice yourself. So let them go. Let the guilt go. Let the confusion go. And walk away knowing that anyone who truly loves you will never have to manipulate you to keep you close. Because real love, it frees you, it builds you, it honors you. It does not betray you. The betrayal of repeated behavior cuts deeper than any lie, any deception, any moment of weakness. It is the betrayal of broken promises, the cycle of disappointment, the wounds that never heal because they are reopened time and time again. This is not a single mistake. This is not an accident. This is a choice, a conscious decision to keep hurting you, to keep disrespecting you, to keep taking your love, your trust, your forgiveness for granted. At first, you tell yourself it's just a misunderstanding. Maybe they didn't mean to do it. Maybe it was just a lapse in judgment. Maybe they'll change. And so you give them the benefit of the doubt. You let it slide. You listen to their apologies, their excuses, their promises that it won't happen again. And for a moment, it feels like things will be different. They act better. They say the right things. They make an effort. But then, just when you start to believe in them, just when you let your guard down, they do it again and again and again. You sit there confused, hurt, angry, asking yourself, why? Why would someone who claims to love me keep doing the same thing that broke me in the first place? Why would they look me in the eyes, swear they've changed, and then turn around and do the exact same thing they promised they never would? Because let me tell you something, it's not a mistake if they keep making it. It's not a slip-up if they keep doing it. It's not a misunderstanding if they refuse to change. People reveal who they are through their patterns, not through their words, not through their apologies, not through their grand gestures after they've hurt you. No, the truth is in what they keep choosing to do over and over again. And when someone betrays you in the same way time after time, they are sending you a message. This is who I am. This is what I will continue to do. And no matter how much you forgive me, I am not going to stop. The betrayal of repeated behavior is not just about the betrayal itself, it's about what it does to you. It's about the exhaustion, the emotional drain, the way it erodes your self-worth, because the more you tolerate it, the more you internalize the message that this is all you deserve. But let me tell you the truth. Love is not meant to be a battlefield where you keep fighting for the bare minimum. Love is not a cycle of hurt and healing, of promises and betrayals, of apologies followed by more broken trust. Love is supposed to make you feel safe, valued, honored, not exhausted, not drained, not questioning whether your pain even matters. So if someone in your life keeps hurting you in the same way over and over again, if they keep betraying you with their actions while begging for forgiveness with their words, let them go. Because the hardest truth you will ever have to accept is this: some people will never change, not because they can't, but because they don't want to. Because they know you'll always forgive them. Because they know you'll always take them back. Because they know they will never truly lose you. But the moment you decide that your peace is worth more than their apologies, that your self-respect is worth more than their second chances, that you are done being stuck in the same cycle of hurt, that is the moment you set yourself free. Because real love does not break you over and over again. Real love does not force you to question your worth. Real love does not take your forgiveness as permission to keep hurting you. So don't be afraid to walk away. Don't be afraid to end the cycle. Don't be afraid to choose your peace over the chaos of betrayal. You have the strength, the courage, and the wisdom to move forward. Your story isn't over yet. And there are people out there who will love you the way you were always meant to be loved. Without betrayal, without manipulation, and without compromise.